Chapter 32:10. Teleportation. Before accepting this badge, can you tell me something about the Heaven Accessing Place? Since I'm qualified to enter the Heaven Accessing Place, I need to know what it is like. Juan waved the badge in front of the Black King and said calmly. The Black King grinned and said, as the name suggests, the Heaven Accessing Place is a place where a group of experts at the level of heaven-reaching masters gather. It was the three pure ones who established the Heaven Accessing Place. Of course, most of the old guys in the starry sky are practicing in seclusion in the Heaven Accessing Place. They only have one purpose, which is to break through to the supreme realm of heaven. Juan's eyes flickered. From the Black King, he knew that the real masters of heaven-reaching masters in the starry sky were all in the Heaven Accessing Place. That is to say, as long as a practitioner reaches the level of heaven-reaching master, he can get this badge, right? Juan asked. The Black King nodded and said, in the Heaven Accessing Place, there are many masters of heaven-reaching masters from the Xianmi Heavenly Domain, the Untainted Heavenly Domain, and the Demon Realm. It's a paradise for the strong. The ultimate purpose of the Heaven Accessing Place is to fight against the cancer of the chaos in the dark of the starry sky. The chaos is the enemy of all the creatures in the starry sky. Everyone has the right to kill it. Then, the Black King turned to look at Juan seriously and said, little guy, you're the first person in history to be awarded the badge by the three pure ones. Because you have the Pangu sacred body, you're a key figure in the fight against the chaos in the future. Juan narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, does everyone in the Heaven Accessing Place know that I'm practicing the Pangu sacred body? The Black King shook his head and said mockingly, now only the three pure ones and I know. And we won't spread it, because the Heaven Accessing Place is not a place of unity. There are many people with ulterior motives. And there are many factions. If people with ulterior motives know that you're practicing the Pangu sacred body, I don't know what crazy things they'll do. Don't worry. The three pure ones and I are keeping everything about you a secret. When you enter the Heaven Accessing Place, you'll know that it's a complicated place. Hearing this, Juan nodded. He knew how powerful the Pangu sacred body was. If someone really harbored evil intentions, they would probably seize his body and take his Pangu sacred body for themselves. Moreover, Juan did not trust the three pure ones and the three pure ones. Although the Black King and the three pure ones had not shown any malice, Juan had been through a lot for so many years. He was not a simple sheep. He had never let his guard down. By the way, the location of the Heaven Accessing Place is a micro-world opened up in the hollow of the star battlefield. The specific location is in your badge. As long as you communicate with the badge with your divine thoughts, you can naturally perceive the map inside. Master badge, master badge, master ring badge, the master, insect master, of his master is master. Hearing this, Juan communicated with the master badge with his divine thoughts. Sure enough, he sensed a complicated road map in it. However, Juan did not care too much. He had too many secrets, and the Heaven Accessing Place was a place full of experts. If nothing special happened, he would not enter the Heaven Accessing Place. The Black King seemed to have seen through Juan's thoughts. He grinned and said, little guy, let me tell you in advance. The most precious practicing resources in this starry sky are all in the Heaven Accessing Place. And I remember that there are a few old monsters in the Heaven Accessing Place who are interested in the wizard ancestor's corpse. Maybe there are clues about other wizard ancestors' corpses in the Heaven Accessing Place. If you really want to make rapid progress in a short time, the Heaven Accessing Place is the best place. Juan looked at the Black King, who was smiling like a fox, and felt a little helpless. Although he knew that the Black King was leading him on, he was willing to do it. The wizard ancestor's corpse was too important for him. If there was really something in the Heaven Accessing Place, he had to enter the Heaven Accessing Place to try. Now I'll send you to the Untainted Heavenly Realm. And I can give you a small benefit. I'll send you directly to the clan where the first Ho Yi's holy arrow is located. The Black King laughed. Juan asked subconsciously. The Devouring Clan. You know, at its peak, the Devouring Clan was comparable to the top 10 clans. I heard that there were 3 Ho Yi's holy arrows hidden in this clan. You must have mentioned it in the black jade I gave you. As the Black King spoke, his huge claws brushed over Zhuowen's head. Suddenly, a black vortex appeared above Zhuowen's head. Wait, you'd better send me to the Phoenix people. Don't the Phoenix people also have 3 Ho Yi's holy arrows? Plus, before Zhuowen could finish his words, he was involuntarily sucked into the black vortex and disappeared completely. What did this little guy say just now? Did he say that he wanted to teleport to the Phoenix people? After Zhuowen disappeared, the Black King reacted. He patted his head and laughed. Perhaps it was my illusion. I didn't make a mistake in teleporting. I'm sure it was like that. This was a golden grassland. On a high slope of the grassland, there was a huge rock. Zhuowen stood on the rock, gritting his teeth. Can the Black King be more unreliable? Why didn't he ask for my opinion before he teleported? Damn it. Zhuowen was a little annoyed as he looked around. He found this golden grassland strange to him. He knew that he was now in the untainted heavenly realm. Moreover, he was near the devouring clan's tribe. Before entering the untainted heavenly realm, Zhuowen had learned the general distribution of forces in the untainted heavenly realm from the saintess of the Phoenix people. The great desolate heaven realm was formed by various races, and these densely packed races were distributed in various parts of the heaven realm in the form of tribes. They occupied land and called themselves clans, forming their own territories. Of course, the tribes in the untainted heavenly realm weren't as simple and crude as those in the slaughtering heavenly realm. In the untainted heavenly realm, even the weakest tribe was much better than the strongest tribe in the slaughtering heavenly realm. The strong tribes, like the tribes of the untainted heavenly realm's 10 great clans, had strict security with many restrictions and formations. Their scale was even bigger than the Dao Palace in the Xianmi heavenly realm. Zhuowen took out a map made of sheepskin, which he had obtained from the saintess of the Phoenix people, Yun. This map recorded the general location of the untainted heavenly realm and the general distribution of the strong clans in the untainted heavenly realm. Zhuowen studied the map for a while, then put it away with a grimace. This map didn't record the location of the devouring clan's tribe. Zhuowen summoned the saintess of the Phoenix people from the great world. The saintess of the Phoenix people was still restrained by a strong force, which restricted her movements. As soon as the saintess of the Phoenix people appeared, her beautiful eyes glared at Zhuowen. However, she soon noticed the surroundings. She was surprised. Is this the untainted heavenly realm? Zhuowen, you're finally enlightened. You know how strong the Phoenix people are. That's why you brought me back to the untainted heavenly realm. Are you going to ask the Phoenix people for forgiveness? Then, the Phoenix people showed their arrogance, throwing a sidelong glance at Zhuowen. Chapter 32:11. Devouring Clan. Do you want me to show you the way to the Phoenix people and ask for their punishment? I'll give you a chance. The Phoenix people are. The beautiful eyes of the saintess of the Phoenix people were filled with arrogance. However, before she could finish, Zhuowen interrupted her. I know the location of the Phoenix people's tribe better than you do. It's marked on the map. Do I need you to tell me that? Zhuowen's voice was cold, his eyes unfriendly. The saintess of the Phoenix people was bewildered. She was enraged. Then why did you call me here? What does the other places have to do with me? And you're a human. You can't live long in the great desolate heavenly realm. If you want to live, you'd better go to the Phoenix people and ask for their punishment. Perhaps I can ask them to spare your lowly life. Whether I can survive in the great desolate heavenly realm or not, it's none of your business. Now, show me where the devouring clan's tribe is. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless, Zhuowen said with murderous intent in his eyes. Feeling the murderous intent in Zhuowen's eyes, the saintess of the Phoenix people shivered. Her eyes were filled with resentment. This Zhuowen didn't know what was good for him. Why didn't he go to the Phoenix people? Why did he go to the devouring clan? However, facing Zhuowen's murderous eyes, the saintess of the Phoenix people became dispirited. After a while, she knew the character of this damn human in front of her. This man always did what he said. He wasn't trying to deceive her. Because of this, she had suffered a lot at the beginning. You will regret it. The Devouring Clan's tribe is dozens of kilometers southeast. It's not far from here, said the Phoenix people coldly. Zhuan swung his sleeve and retrieved the saintess of the Phoenix people into his great world. Then he flew to the southeast. However, as he advanced, Zhuowen's body began to change. His entire body began to be covered with pitch-black scales, and on the surface of these scales, there were imperceptible black vortexes. At this moment, Yuan had stimulated the Devouring King's bloodline hidden in his clone, making him look more like a member of the Devouring Clan. Zhuan kept flying in the southeast direction. When he reached the end of the Golden Prairie, he found a rocky area on the other side of the prairie. The area of this rocky area was very large, and huge rocks were randomly distributed in all directions. Surrounded by many rocks, Zhuowen saw a huge city standing in the middle of the rocky area. The area of this huge city was very large. In this huge city, there were many wide and ancient streets and thick and heavy buildings. The most eye-catching part of the huge city was a huge statue in the middle of the city. This huge statue was in the shape of a huge exotic beast. Yun was the most familiar with this strange beast. It was the complete form of the Devouring King. Inside the giant city, figures covered in pitch-black scales walked on the streets. They looked similar to humans, but they had the special scales of the Devouring Clan, which proved that they weren't humans. When he was in the Xianmi Heavenly Territory, Zhuo knew that many races in the Great Desolate Heavenly Territory looked like humans when they weren't in their fighting form. There were so many races in the Great Desolate Heavenly Territory, including the Devouring Clan. Almost every adult member of the Devouring Clan had a body as big as a planet. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they could cover the entire sky. Although a giant body could bring them tremendous power, it also brought them a disadvantage of not being able to move. When the humankind was separated, in the prehistorical heavenly realm, the humankind was recognized as the most perfect form. Thus, many races in the Great Desolate Heavenly Territory had to imitate the human clan when they weren't in their fighting form. Of course, if there was a big war, those races would reveal their true forms and attack with all of their powers. This giant city was the Devouring Clan's base. The humanoid figures that Zhuan saw were all members of the Devouring Clan. Zhuan didn't hurry to enter the Devouring Clan's base. He quietly hid behind a massive rock and retracted his aura. At the moment he saw the giant city, he felt that the atmosphere wasn't right. The gate of the giant city was closed. The light of restrictions twinkled around the city. Moreover, the Devouring Clan in the city looked hurried. The atmosphere was tense. He knew that something terrible was about to happen. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Zhuan could feel the intense vibrations from a far distance in front of the giant city. In the distance, smoke and dust filled the sky, and a black mass of troops was rapidly approaching the giant city. Attack the city? Zhuan saw the army moving fast from a far distance. He knew why the Devouring Clan's base was so tense. Fortunately, he didn't rush to the city. Otherwise, the Devouring Clan would have considered him a spy. At that time, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. Since the rock Zhuowen was hiding behind was facing the city, and the Devouring Clan warriors in the city were focused on the army in front of them, no one had recognized Zhuowen when he appeared. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a pair of sharp eyes and curly scales on his face stood on the city wall like a bamboo pole, quietly watching the mighty army in the distance. This middle-aged man was the strongest expert of the Devouring Clan. He was also the Devouring King of this generation. His name was Bingju. Bingju was at the Lake Creator Realm. With his Devouring King bloodline, he could fight against a half-step Creator Realm expert. Zhuan was hiding in the dark. Of course, he had noticed Bingju. His soul consciousness had scanned the city, so he knew that Bingju was the Devouring King of the Devouring Clan. Zhuan couldn't help but shake his head. The Devouring Clan was just a small clan in the Great Desolate Heavenly Domain. Even the Devouring King, the strongest expert of the clan, was just a Creator Realm expert. Moreover, Zhuowen's soul consciousness had scanned the city. The number of the Devouring Clan warriors in the city who had reached the third step of Dao Realm was less than the number of one hand. With Zhuowen's current competence, Destroying the city of the devouring clan was just a piece of cake. However, Nguyen didn't do that. He had no reason to do so. He came to the devouring clan for the 3 Hou-yi divine arrows. If the devouring clan was so weak, it shouldn't be a problem for him to take the 3 Hou-yi divine arrows. And now, he didn't take action because he wanted to observe the situation of the devouring clan. No matter what, he had the devouring king bloodline. If the devouring clan didn't disappoint him, Nguyen didn't mind giving them a hand. Bing Ju squinted, gazing at the army in the distance with a solemn face. Standing behind Bing Ju were the left and right protectors of the devouring clan. They were the great experts of the devouring clan, second only to Bing Ju. Both of them were at the middle stage of the creator realm. The left protector was an old man with a long white beard. The right protector was much younger. He looked like he was in his 20s. His eyes were scarlet and his body emitted a brutal aura. The Divine Sparrow clan is getting more and more out of hand. We've already told them that the Hou-yi divine arrow was taken away by the Sacred Marten clan and the Fire Elephant clan many years ago, yet they still say that we're lying and insist that the arrow is still in our clan. The young right protector's scarlet eyes flickered continuously. They were filled with dread and fear. The left protector's eyes were spitting fire. He said in a low voice, "Patriarch, the Divine Sparrow clan is riding on our heads. If we still tolerate them, where will the devouring clan's face go?" Bing Ju's eyes twinkled. He nodded and said, "Left protector, you're right. The Divine Sparrow clan has gone too far." Bang. Chapter 32:12. Ju Bing the left protector spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. He looked at Ju Bing, who was standing on the city wall with a cold face. He didn't know why Ju Bing would attack him. The moment Ju Bing attacked the left protector, the right protector dashed out like a ghost, laughing evilly like a night owl. The left protector's right foot stomped in the air. A violent aura gushed out, forcibly stabilizing his body. At this moment, the right protector dashed in front of the left protector. His hands turned into claws as he dashed toward the left protector. The left protector clenched his hands into palms and suddenly blasted out, clashing with the right protector. Violent energy waves spread out in all directions like waves. "Patriarch, right protector, what is the meaning of this?" The left protector retreated as he fought. His eyes were filled with confusion. He didn't know why Ju Bing and the right protector suddenly attacked him. The devouring clan was facing the Divine Sparrow clan's invasion. Why did Ju Bing and the right protector attack him? The left protector was severely injured by Ju Bing, so he wasn't the right protector's match. The left protector knew that if he continued to fight, he wouldn't have a good ending. He had to run away. The left protector faced the sky and roared. His body began to expand as he revealed his true form. He wanted to escape from the city. Ju Bing coldly looked at the left protector, who had revealed his true form. He sneered. He took a step forward and a black scepter appeared in his hand. Ju Bing landed on the left protector and smashed the scepter in his hand. The black scepter emitted a crystal-like light that covered the left protector's body. Instantly, the left protector, who had turned into a giant devourer, screamed and turned back into his human form. Furthermore, rings of black energy light surrounded the left protector's body at an unknown time, imprisoning his entire body. Left protector, you can't challenge the patriarch's authority. Now you've learned your lesson. The right protector looked at the black scepter in Ju Bing's hand with fear. He then carried the left protector and jumped onto the city wall, standing behind Ju Bing. This black scepter was the symbol of the authority of the chief of the devouring clan. This scepter had a unique suppressive effect on the members of the devouring clan. Just now, the left protector had been completely suppressed by the power of the scepter. He didn't even have the strength to resist. "Patriarch, what do you mean by this? Why are you using arbitration on me?" The left protector looked at the scepter in Bing Ju's hand and roared unwillingly. "Left protector, do you still not understand? Using arbitration on you is because you are guilty." Ice Extreme muttered to himself as he looked at the approaching Divine Sparrow tribe. "What do you mean?" The left protector frowned and asked. "When Bloodscale was still in power, you were his most loyal dog. Later on, I forced Bloodscale out of the devouring clan. You submitted to me, but you weren't sincere. You didn't submit to me as the new chief, said Bingju faintly. The left protector's expression changed slightly. She lowered her head and said, Patriarch, I've never been disloyal to you. You've never been disloyal to me? Then you should be honest with me unconditionally. When our devouring clan was at its peak, we had 3 Hou-Yi divine arrows. Later on, when our clan declined, the Sacred Marten clan and the Fire Elephant clan took 1 Hou-Yi divine arrow. If I remember correctly, the last Hou-Yi divine arrow was kept by Bloodscale. And you are his most trusted dog. I think you know where the last Hou-Yi divine arrow is kept better than me, right? Bloodscale won't take it away. He will only give it to you to keep. Bingju stroked the scepter in his hand. His voice was terrifyingly calm. The left protector's expression changed drastically. He turned his head and said coldly, Patriarch, I don't understand what you mean. But you, using arbitration on your fellow clansmen, especially when our clan is in a life-or-death situation, don't you feel ashamed? Bingju sneered and said, a life-or-death situation? Ha, you think too much. The Divine Sparrow clan only wants the Hou-Yi divine arrow, and you are the only one who knows its whereabouts. As long as you tell us the whereabouts of the Hou-Yi divine arrow, the danger will be gone. If you don't tell us, you will bring harm to the entire devouring clan. Bingju's voice was cold as he stood in front of the left protector, looking down at him. The left protector looked at Bingju and mocked himself. Bingju, from the beginning, you didn't want to fight against the Divine Sparrow clan? You want to give them the Hou-Yi divine arrow to protect yourself, right? To be honest, you and Bloodscale are too far apart. If Master Bloodscale were here, even if we have the Hou-Yi divine arrow, he would lead his clansmen to fight to the death to protect the dignity of the devouring clan. And you have abandoned the dignity of the devouring clan. You act like a coward, compromising for the greater good. It's really ugly. Bingju's face was ferocious. He slapped the left protector to the ground and said coldly, Don't mention the name Bloodscale in front of me. That trash is dead. Nothing is left of him now. Left protector, I will give you one last chance. If you tell us the whereabouts of the Hou-Yi divine arrow, I will spare your life and let you continue to be a protector. The left protector spat and turned his head away. He didn't even look at Bingju. Alright, if you don't tell us, don't blame me for giving you to the Divine Sparrow clan. I think the Divine Sparrow clan has many ways to make you talk. Bingju snorted and ignored the left protector. He looked down at the city gate. At this moment, the Divine Sparrow clan's army had arrived at the city gate. The leader of the army was a young man with red lips and white teeth. He was riding a giant horse that was as tall as a man. The young man looked exactly like a human. The only difference was that he had a red mark on his forehead. The Divine Sparrow clan's humanoid form was the closest to the human race. The only difference was the red mark on their forehead. This young man was the commander of the Divine Sparrow clan's army. He was also one of the 3 great experts of the Divine Sparrow clan. His name was Kei-Chi. Kei-Chi was much stronger than Bingju. He was an expert at the early stage of the Creator Realm. To put it bluntly, Kei-Chi alone could challenge the entire devouring clan. Kei-Chi raised his head and looked at Bingju on the city wall. He arched his brows and said, Bingju, what do you think? I just want the Hou-Yi divine arrow. As long as you give it to me, I won't make things difficult for your devouring clan. Bingju's face was full of respect. He cupped his hands at Kei-Chi and said, Master Kei-Chi, our devouring clan does have one more Hou-Yi divine arrow. However, I don't know where it is. Kei-Chi's face turned ugly. A terrifying aura swept out. He said coldly, Bingju, are you playing with me? You should know that your little devouring clan can't bear the wrath of our Divine Sparrow clan. Today, I just need to give an order, and your devouring clan will become history. Bingju hurriedly lifted the left protector and said, Master Kei-Chi, please calm down. Although I don't know, the left protector knows. He used to be Bloodscale's loyal dog. And the Hou-Yi divine arrow was kept by Bloodscale. Only the left protector knows about the Hou-Yi divine arrow. I'm going to give it to you. I think that with your wisdom, You can get the information from the left protector. Oh? The left protector is Yu Lu, who used to be with Bloodscale, right? Since you used to be with Bloodscale, you should know the Hou-Yi Divine Arrow better than anyone else. Chapter 32:13. One move, tell me. Where is the Hou-Yi Divine Arrow? I can still spare your life. Kei-Chi rode his big horse, looking down at left protector Yu Lu, who had fallen under the horse's feet. Yu Lu was tough. He fell down with cuts and bruises all over his body, but he didn't utter a sound. Magpie Rise narrowed his eyes and suddenly pulled the reins. The huge horse lifted its front hooves and fiercely stepped on Yu Lu's body. Yu Lu was so angry that his eyes cracked. He screamed in pain, vomiting blood. His bones cracked and shattered. Are you going to tell me or not? Kei-Chi asked coldly. Unfortunately, Yu Lu didn't utter a word as if he hadn't heard Kei-Chi. Kei-Chi frowned, as he was surprised by Yu Lu's stubbornness. He raised his right hand, and an armored soldier walked out from behind him. Take him away and guard him well. When I get back, I will interrogate him, Kei-Chi said indifferently. The soldier clasped his fists at Kei-Chi, then carried Yu Lu, who was almost paralyzed, on his shoulder, walking to the crowd behind him. Kei-Chi didn't even look at Yu Lu. He lifted his head, looking at Bing-Ju, who was still standing on the city wall. Bing-Ju also noticed Kei-Chi's gaze. He showed a slightly flattering smile and said, Master Kei-Chi, I have already handed this person over to you. You only need to go back and interrogate Yu Lu, and you will be able to get information about Hou-Yi's divine arrow. I think we should call it quits here. I will pretend that nothing happened today. In the big city, the members of the Devouring Clan felt humiliated when they saw Bing-Ju trying to please Kei-Chi. Although the Devouring Clan had declined, they still had their pride and dignity. And now, their patriarch had surrendered to Kei-Chi of the Divine Sparrow Clan. To them, it was a big humiliation. However, no one dared to say anything. Everybody had seen Yu Lu's end. Even the protector was captured easily, let alone the ordinary members. Kei-Chi smiled mockingly. Patriarch Bing-Ju, I've come to your Devouring Clan from thousands of miles away. You don't want to let me in. It's not good, right? You should invite me in for a drink before I leave. Bing-Ju's expression changed. How could he not understand the meaning behind Yi Chio's words? According to Magpie Rise, it was impossible for Bing-Ju to take the initiative to open the city gate. He knew very well that once the city gates were opened, what he would attract would not be guests, but eternal damnation. Master Kei-Chi must be joking. It's not convenient for me today. If Master Kei-Chi comes to visit another day, Bing-Ju will definitely entertain you with great hospitality. Bing-Ju declined politely. Kei-Chi's face turned cold as he said darkly, It seems that Patriarch Bing-Ju is not giving me any face. Since you don't want to give me face, then I won't give you face today either. Brothers, take down the lair of the Devouring Clan. We will reward you handsomely. Magpie Rise gave the order, and immediately, the black mass of the army behind him let out a deafening roar. The Divine Sparrow Clan's army revealed their true forms one by one. In an instant, golden light shone everywhere. The true form of the Divine Sparrow tribe was a divine sparrow that was half the size of a human. These divine sparrows were extremely terrifying in terms of both speed and attack power. Bing-Ju grimaced. He hurried to shout, asking his clansmen in the city to prepare for the battle. The members of the Devouring Clan also revealed their true forms, guarding the city walls to prevent the Divine Sparrow Clan's army from breaking through. The barriers and restrictions of the city were too crude. They couldn't resist for more than 15 minutes before the Divine Sparrow Clan's army broke through them. Then, the Divine Sparrow Clan's army and the Devouring Clan's army engaged in a fierce battle. The entire city was filled with earth-shaking roars and the smell of smoke. Behind the giant city, in the rocky region, Zhuowen observed the battle in the giant city from behind a rock, his brows slightly furrowed. He could see that the Divine Sparrow Clan was much stronger than the Devouring Clan. In less than 2 hours, the Divine Sparrow Clan's army would take down the city. Bing-Ju, get down here and fight. Gold light flashed around Kei-Chi like lightning. He held the golden spear in his hand, but he didn't reveal his true form. In his eyes, dealing with a weak creator like Bing Ju, he didn't need to use his true form. Bing Ju grimaced. He hadn't thought that things would escalate to this point. If he had known that Kei-Chi would attack the city, he would never have handed over Yu Lu. No matter what, Yu Lu was an expert of the Devouring clan, second only to him. If he dealt with Kei-Chi now, he would be able to contribute. Remnant blood, come with me to deal with Kei-Chi. Bing Ju called the right custodian. He took a step forward, dashing toward Kei-Chi. As soon as Bing Ju appeared, he revealed his true form, dashing toward Kei-Chi like a meteor. The right custodian frowned, his eyes filled with reluctance. Kei-Chi was much stronger than them. Even if he joined hands with Bing Ju, they didn't have a high chance of winning. However, he had to obey Bing Ju's order. Thus, he had to bite the bullet. Ha! Could you two trash dare to fight with me? Kei-Chi sneered, wielding the spear in his hand. The blazing golden light rose like the sun. Instantly, the sky was filled with golden spear shadows. Those spear shadows were so dazzling that they even covered the radiance of the sun in the sky. Bang! 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 When the spear shadows in the sky collided with Bing Ju and remnant blood, a terrifying shockwave spread out. Bing Ju spurted out a mouthful of blood, flying backward. Blood mist burst out from his body, making him look extremely miserable. The most miserable one was remnant blood. In the endless spear shadows, he couldn't resist for a long time. Immediately, those blazing spear shadows crushed him into powder, killing him on the spot. In the giant city, many clansmen of the Devouring clan saw that the Patriarch and the right custodian were killed by Kei-Chi in just one move. All of them were in despair. They knew that once Bing Ju was killed, they wouldn't be able to defend their giant city. At that time, they would have to face the extermination of their clan. Bing Ju die. Kei-Chi burst out laughing. His right hand formed a palm, striking the end of the spear. The blazing golden spear spun rapidly, shooting out like an unparalleled golden light. It was like a rainbow piercing the sun, swift and fierce. Bing Ju saw the spear dashing toward him, feeling a strong threat of death. He roared and threw the black scepter in his hand. At the same time, he crazily burned his blood essence, turning into a bloodline, running toward the back of the giant city. The long spear was blocked by the scepter, but it only lasted for a few breaths before the scepter shattered into powder. However, in that short time, Bing Ju had already disappeared from the giant city. The Patriarch ran away. The clansmen in the giant city were in an uproar. They had never thought that their Patriarch, Bing Ju, would run away at the critical moment to save his life. Kei-Chi snorted, retrieving his spear. His cold eyes looked at Bing Ju's retreating figure. He knew that Bing Ju was burning his blood essence. His speed was fast, and he wasn't sure if he could catch up with him. He had to give up. However, shortly after, Kei-Chi was surprised to see that Bing Ju's figure, which was about to leave the rocky area behind the giant city, suddenly froze in the air. Then, Bing Ju screeched, his giant body flying backward toward the giant city. It seemed that there was a force in the rocky area that stopped Bing Ju and pushed him back. Boom! Chapter 32:14. Kei-Chi's death. When Bing Ju fell to the ground, dying, both the Devouring clan in the city and the Divine Sparrow clan that was attacking the city halted their actions. Surprisingly, they all gazed at Bing Ju. Right after that, they followed Bing Ju's line of sight, gazing at the massive rocky area behind the city. They saw a slender figure slowly walking out of the rocky area. The figure was thin, but he was as straight as a pine tree. Kei-Chi was riding on a massive horse, holding the golden divine spear. He also noticed the figure walking toward him, frowning. Because he noticed that this figure was a young man who didn't seem very old, and the young man's face was densely covered with gloomy and shiny ink-colored scales. Devouring clan? Since when did the Devouring clan have such an expert? At the moment Kei-Chi saw the figure, he could feel the aura of the Devouring clan from him. What scared Kei-Chi more was that this man could stop Bing Ju, who had burned his blood essence. Moreover, he could send Bing Ju back with one strike. This man's fighting competence was above Bing Ju's. He's one of our clansmen. Many members of the Devouring clan in the city were astounded. They could feel the aura of the devouring clan from this man, but they didn't recognize him. They had never seen him before. Apparently, he didn't belong to the devouring clan. Who are you? Why are you stopping me? Bing Ju glared at the young man walking toward him. Bing Ju had returned to his human form. Maintaining his giant body consumed a lot of energy. Currently, Bing Ju was severely wounded. Of course, he couldn't maintain his human form. The young man walking toward him was Yun. Zhuowen had wanted to stop Bing Ju from leaving the city by burning his essence blood. He had even given Bing Ju a heavy blow, almost crippling him. Zhuowen arrived in front of Bing Ju and stomped on his head. A powerful force exploded out and Bing Ju's head was stomped deep into the ground. If you scream again, I'll kill you. Zhuowen's voice was cold and indifferent, but it carried an unquestionable dignity. Bing Ju's eyes were filled with shock and anger, but he did not dare to make a sound. The young man in front of him was far stronger than him. Moreover, he could feel the killing intent in Zhuowen's eyes. He knew very well that if he really said anything, this person might really kill him. All members of the devouring clan in the giant city kept quiet out of fear. The joy in their eyes was replaced by fear. They had thought that this stranger from the ground clan would come to help them, but they hadn't expected that he would trample their ground clan leader under his feet. Although Bing Ju had abandoned them and run away alone, the devouring clan's members had a deep resentment. However, Bing Ju was still their patriarch. Now that their patriarch was being humiliated, it was equivalent to slapping their faces. However, Kei Chi heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Although he could not see through the young man in front of him, he knew that the young man's strength was above Bing Ju's. He naturally hoped that such an expert would not be his enemy. And now, this man had stepped on Bing Ju as soon as he arrived. It meant that he wasn't on the devouring clan's side. Ah, my friend, thank you for helping me stop Bing Ju. I'm Kei Chi of the Divine Sparrow clan. Now, give Bing Ju to me. Magpie Rise laughed heartily as he slowly walked toward Zhuowen on his huge horse. His expression was filled with arrogance. In his opinion, after this person heard about the Divine Sparrow clan, he would be afraid. This made Kei Chi even more arrogant. He concluded that this person did not dare to be arrogant in front of him. Kei Chi stopped not far from Zhuowen. His divine spear pointed at Bing Ju, who was under Zhuowen's feet, and the corners of his mouth curved into a proud smile. Who do you think you are? And the Divine Sparrow clan, who do you think you are? If you don't want to be annihilated, disappear from my sight now. Otherwise, I will wash your Divine Sparrow clan's army with blood. Zhuowen slowly lifted his head, indifferently looking at Kei Chi on his giant horse. His eyes were indifferent as if he was looking at an ant. Seeing Zhuowen's eyes, Kei Chi's eyelids twitched. He was enraged. Isn't this guy a bit too arrogant? He actually dares to say such disgraceful words. What's with that look? Does he see me as an ant? Is he looking down on me? And this guy wants me to retreat. If I don't retreat, he will wipe out the entire Divine Sparrow clan's army. Where did this guy get his confidence from? Where did he get his arrogance from? Ha! Just you? You want to wipe us all out? Kei Chi laughed out loud. Then, the entire Divine Sparrow clan's army roared with laughter, their faces full of mockery. The members of the devouring clan in the giant city shook their heads and smiled bitterly. At first, they thought that this domineering comrade of theirs would be an awesome existence. However, they did not expect him to be just an arrogant guy who liked to brag. Bing Ju, who was under Zhuowen's feet, sneered silently. Not only did this person stop him, but he also stepped on him, completely cutting off his path of survival. Bing Ju could not wait to see this person die in Kei Chi's hands. Are you done laughing? If you are, you can get lost. Zhuowen's eyes were calm as he looked indifferently at Kei Chi, who was still laughing on the giant horse. His voice was like an ancient well, full of calmness. Kei Chi's laughter died down. He coldly looked at Zhuowen and said, "You're really not afraid of death. Now, I'll give you a chance. Tell me your name. At least let me know who the person I'm about to kill is." I don't need to know someone's name to kill. Because in my eyes, you're already a dead man. Why should I know a dead man's name? Zhuowen's voice was calm as he stomped down with his right foot, causing Bingju's head to be embedded into the ground as he slowly walked towards Magpie Rise. Very good. You're very good. Today, I'll let you know what despair is. Keiichi was so angry that he laughed. He suddenly pulled the reins and the giant horse's hooves stomped on the ground, whistling like a gust of wind. Keiichi danced with the divine spear in his hand. Spear shadows rose like the sun, emitting an endless golden light. In an instant, the golden light enveloped Zhuowen's entire body. The moment the golden light enveloped Zhuowen, Keiichi had already arrived in front of Zhuowen. His right hand that was holding the spear fiercely spun, and the golden spear violently spun toward Zhuowen's vital points. Bang! An ancient and vicissitude power exploded from the countless golden lights. Then, the golden lights exploded one after another. Then, a figure rushed out like a ghost and rushed in front of the giant horse. Boom! This figure was Zhuowen. His body was emitting a sparkling light. He threw a punch at the giant horse's chest. The terrifying power exploded, and the giant horse's chest exploded into a bloody mist. Then, the giant horse looked up to the sky and cried out. Its huge body seemed to be unable to withstand the terrifying power and split into pieces, bursting into a bloody mist. Bang! The moment the giant horse exploded, Keiichi's pupils shrank. He kicked his legs in the air, wanting to retreat. Unfortunately, Yuan arrived first. He didn't know when, but he rushed in front of Keiichi and also threw a punch. Keiichi roared, and the divine spear in his hand suddenly swept out. The terrifying spear shadows exploded and swept towards Yuan. Unfortunately, Yuan was too terrifying. In front of Zhuowen's fist, the spear shadows were like paper tigers and shattered into nothingness. After Zhuowen's fist broke through all obstacles, it finally smashed into Keiichi's chest. Keiichi spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. In the process of flying, dazzling cracks appeared on Keiichi's body. The moment Magpie Rise landed heavily on the ground, countless cracks appeared on the ground. Chapter 32:15. Open the door. The place was terrifyingly silent. Many pairs of eyes gazed at Keiichi, who was now smashed into pieces on the ground. One strike. With just one move, Magpie Rise, who was at the level of a creation master, was destroyed right in front of their eyes. After pulling themselves together, both the Devouring Clan and the Divine Sparrow Clan shivered, looking at Zhuowen in fear. Bingju struggled to lift his head from the ground. When he saw this, his pupils shrank to the size of needles as if he had just seen a ghost. His face was filled with fear. Earlier, Keiichi had defeated him in one strike. And now, Keiichi had been killed in one strike. As long as he had a brain, he knew how big the gap between him and this young man was. I must win this precursor's favor. Bingju pulled himself together. He had a plan. He had sensed the unique aura of the Devouring Clan from this young man. Moreover, this man had killed Keiichi to save the Devouring Clan. Bingju knew that he had to curry favor with such a great expert. Zhuowen didn't even look at Keiichi's smashed body. He slowly walked toward the Devouring Clan city. His clear voice arose. I'll give you a chance. Get lost. Don't force me to kill you all. You have guts. You dare to kill our Divine Sparrow Clan's Master Keiichi. Your Devouring Clan is finished. Our Divine Sparrow Clan will exterminate your Devouring Clan. A young Divine Sparrow race clansman glared at Zhuowen and said harshly. However, this man was cunning. While he was talking, he retreated. He didn't have the guts to attack Zhuowen. If you say so, come here and take revenge for your master Keiichi. Zhuowen's voice was cold. Before he could finish, he flicked his finger. A powerful energy slashed the air like a saber. The young Divine Sparrow Clan warrior hadn't reacted yet. The energy quietly entered his glabella. Boom! The young Divine Sparrow Clan warrior didn't utter a sound. His head exploded and he fell dead. Everybody, join hands to kill him. He's just one man. We have 1,000 elites. No matter how strong he is, how could he be our enemy? A general of the Divine Sparrow race, who was clad in golden armor, shouted orders. This general was second only to Keiichi in terms of strength and authority in the Divine Sparrow Clan's army. His name was Ruegu, and he was a half-step creation lord. Magpie Rise had fallen, and now he had become the highest commander of the army. As soon as Ruegu gave his order, almost 1,000 elite warriors of the Divine Sparrow clan gave up attacking the city of the Devouring clan. They transformed into their true forms and stormed toward Jun. After the Divine Sparrow clan members revealed their true forms, they were like scorching suns, their entire bodies emitting golden flames. This made Jun think of the Golden Crow. This Divine Sparrow clan should have a portion of the Golden Crow's bloodline. Otherwise, their bodies would not be so similar to the Golden Crow. Countless Earth Divine Sparrows flew through the air, exuding golden flames. The temperature of the air around them skyrocketed, reaching a terrifyingly high temperature. Even the air and the ground began to crack open from the high temperatures. It's over! Many members of the Devouring clan in the big city looked desperate. The strength of this unfamiliar ground tribe member was truly terrifying. However, they didn't think that this ground tribe member would be able to contend against the encirclement of so many Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers. Since this person couldn't contend against them, the only possibility was to escape. After this ground tribe member escaped, the Divine Sparrow clan would definitely annihilate the entire Devouring clan. At that time, they would face the calamity of extermination. Bingju hurriedly hid behind a rock. His injuries were too severe. Otherwise, he would have used this opportunity to escape. He also didn't think that this person could survive the encirclement of the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers. Facing almost 1,000 Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers, Zhuowen's lips curled into a mocking smile. He waved his sleeve, and 3 sword lights shot out from his great world. They were the Thunder Fire Sword, the Death Sacrifice Sword, and the Blood Immortal Sword. During this period of time, the 3 divine swords had been cultivating in seclusion in the macro world. They finally came out of seclusion recently. After coming out of seclusion, the 3 divine swords had made great progress. Among them, the Thunder Fire Sword had improved the most. It had advanced to the early stage of the Heaven Pass grade. The Death Sacrifice Sword and the Blood Immortal Sword were also doing well. They had both reached the peak of the creation grade. Xiaohei, I'll leave these Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers to you. I think you'll have no problem with that, right? Zhuan asked with a faint smile. Xiaohei looked at him with disdain. They're just a bunch of trash. The strongest among them is only a half-step creator. This formation is an insult to us. After saying that, Xiaohei took the Death Sacrifice Sword and the Blood Immortal Sword and turned into 3 streaks of light as they shot out. However, Xiaohei also knew what Zhuan meant. Zhuan didn't want to deal with these small fries. Therefore, the 3 divine swords attacked with Zhuan as the center. Zhuan ignored the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers and slowly walked toward the huge city. The 3 divine swords turned into sword lights and danced in the air like illusions. The Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers were crushed by the 3 divine swords as if they were vegetables. Corpses fell from the sky like rain. In a short while, hundreds of Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers had died. The remaining Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers were terrified. They weren't stupid and could naturally see that they were no match for this young man in front of them. Ruegu was even more stunned. He trembled as he looked at the 3 divine swords that were massacring the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers. He could no longer hide the fear in his eyes. This person was too terrifying. He had only summoned 3 divine swords, but they had been cleanly dealt with by the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers. The Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers scattered and began to flee. It was a complete mess. Once the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers were in chaos, there were even more openings. The speed at which the 3 divine swords killed the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers became even faster. When Zhuan arrived in front of the huge city gates, the Divine Sparrow tribe soldiers had become a pile of bones. Ruegu kept retreating. He grabbed the left guardian Yu Lu and quickly fled into the distance. Unfortunately, Ruegu didn't get far before a flash of lightning and fire caught up to him. His entire body was pierced and torn to pieces. The moment Ruegu was killed, the Thunder Fire Sword carried Yu Lu, who was on the verge of death, to Zhuowen's side. Zhuan glanced at Yu Lu and took out a healing elixir from his great world. He handed it to Yu Lu and said, "Swallow it." Yu Lu swallowed the elixir without hesitation. He knew very well that the young man in front of him was too powerful. He had single-handedly annihilated the Divine Sparrow tribe army. How powerful must he be to be able to do that? In front of this person he was just an ant. If this person wanted to harm him, he didn't have to use such a method. After swallowing the elixir, Yu Lu's face instantly became rosy, and his body was filled with energy. Yu Lu stood up again, and his face was filled with disbelief and surprise. He looked at Zhuowen and immediately cupped his hands in thanks. "Thank you for saving my life, Senior." Yu Lu knew very well that a divine elixir with such miraculous effects was at least a Genesis-grade healing elixir. Such a divine elixir was a precious item that was priceless in the primitive heaven domain. Even the devouring clan didn't have such a divine elixir. However, the mysterious young man in front of him had casually given it to him. This meant that he didn't care about such a divine elixir at all. He was definitely an extremely rich and powerful guy. Mysterious, powerful, and extremely rich. At this moment, the young man in front of him had already become a peerless expert in Yu Lu's eyes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take out such a precious divine elixir so casually. Chapter 32:16. Bingju's unwillingness. Zhuowen's voice wasn't loud, but it was like the heavens' prestige. His voice boomed in the sky above the big city, shaking the heads of the devouring clan in the city. Yu Lu stood respectfully behind Zhuowen. He didn't say anything, but his heart wasn't calm like a stormy sea. The pressure contained in Zhuowen's voice just now was too terrifying. He even had an impulse to kneel on the ground and prostrate in worship. Frick, frick. As soon as Zhuowen finished talking, the gate of the big city opened. Zhuowen took Yu Lu and walked into the big city. They saw the members of the devouring clan standing on both sides of the road with their heads bowed, their faces fearful and respectful. Not long after Zhuo Wengang entered the giant city, he heard the sound of hurried footsteps behind him. A figure walked to Zhuowen and kneeled in front of Zhuowen, speaking with a flattering tone. "I'm Bingju, the chief of the devouring clan. Thank you for saving my people, precursor." Bingju represents my people to thank you for saving our lives. Bingju knelt in front of Zhuowen, his eyes gazing at Zhuowen with passion and flattery. Left custodian Yu Lu stood quietly behind Zhuowen, gazing at Bingju in front of him. His eyes sparkled with a gleam of disgust. He wanted to remind Zhuowen about Bingju's behavior. However, he didn't seem to have any relationship with Zhuowen, so he wasn't sure if he would listen to him. Thinking of this, Yu Lu swallowed the words that he was about to say. Zhuowen did not stop and walked straight to Bingju. He lifted his leg and kicked Bingju's chest. Bingju let out a muffled groan as he was sent flying, spitting out a mouthful of blood, his face extremely pale. Bingju's eyes were filled with disbelief. He stared at Zhuowen, not knowing why the latter had kicked him away. What was the meaning of this? Seeing Zhuowen send extreme ice flying with a kick, Yu Lu, who was following behind Zhuowen, was secretly delighted. The other clansmen also felt satisfied in their hearts. What Bingju had done before had already caused the people to lose faith in him. It was just that Bingju was too strong, so they didn't dare to refute him. Zhuowen slowly walked in front of Bingju and looked down at him. He said indifferently, "You're called Bingju? The chief of the devouring clan?" Bingju's heart was filled with resentment, but the strength of the person in front of him was too terrifying. He could only pretend to be a grandson and respectfully stood up, wanting to reply. "Did I allow you to stand up?" Zhuowen's voice was cold. Bingju's body stiffened, his eyes burning with anger. However, he had to kneel down and say, "Sir, I'm Bingju, the chief of the devouring clan. What can I do for you?" "Do you know Bloodscale?" Zhuowen asked casually. Bingju's pupils shrank as he had a bad premonition. He braced himself and said, "I know him." Bloodscale was the previous chief of our devouring clan. However, Bloodscale was a tyrant. During his reign, he had slaughtered our clansmen as he wished. He didn't show any mercy. I couldn't stand such a tyrant. I stood up and fought against him. In the end, I defeated Bloodscale and drove Bloodscale out of the clan. As soon as Bingju finished, Yu Lu, who was standing behind Zhuowen, couldn't hold it anymore. He said coldly, "Bingju, you're so shameless. That year, Bloodscale treated you as his brother. You ambushed him when he wasn't paying attention. Eventually, Master Bloodscale got hurt badly and had to leave the clan. If Master Bloodscale were here, he wouldn't be like you. When the clan was in danger, he wouldn't run away alone." Bingju's eyes were dark. He glanced at Yu Lu and then said to Jun, "Sir, Yu Lu is a traitor. He's talking nonsense. You saw it. He was in the Divine Sparrow clan's army. He's a spy of the Divine Sparrow clan. His words are bullshit. You can't trust him." "Bullshit? You're the one who's talking nonsense." Yu Lu couldn't help but curse. "Sir, you see, Yu Lu is afraid. A traitor like him will be a disaster if you keep him alive. I'm going to help you deal with him." As Bingju spoke, he suddenly jumped up and pounced towards Yu Lu. Zhuan's eyes were cold. Bingju had guts. At this moment he still dared to take action. Zhuan stretched out his right hand and blocked in front of Yu Lu. However, he soon realized that he was wrong. The moment he protected Yu Lu, Bingju turned around and fled in the opposite direction at an extremely fast speed. However, Bingju didn't get far before his chest was pierced by a ray of light. Then he fell heavily to the ground. The moment Bingju fell to the ground, everyone saw that a divine sword that was flickering with lightning and fire energy had pierced through Bingju's chest and nailed him to the ground. Xiao Hei sat on the hilt of the sword and crossed her little paws. She laughed carelessly and said, "How dare you run away in front of Master Long? You're just showing off in front of an expert." Zhuan nodded slightly at Xiao Hei and walked slowly to Bingju. Blood flowed out of Bingju's mouth. The violent lightning and fire energy continued to corrode his body. He knew that he didn't have long to live. "For you, what's your relationship with Bloodscale?" Bingju's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He roared in a low voice and glared at Zhuan. Before he died, he had to figure out the relationship between this person and Xuelin. Otherwise, he would die without knowing the reason behind it. "Bloodscale is my good friend. I heard about you from him. I heard that you used a despicable method to ambush him. In the end, you injured him severely and drove him out of the Devouring clan. And from the moment you abandoned the city and ran away, I know that you're not a good person. A guy like you deserves to die." Zhuan stopped in front of Bingju and looked down at him. Speaking of which, Bloodscale was the first Devouring King that Zhuan had met. When they were in the 8 heavens, Yun had rescued Devouring King from the seal. Later, Devouring King had become his servant and had done many things for him. He had always been loyal and devoted. However, it was a pity that Bloodscale was unlucky when they had to deal with the Green Hair Dry Corpse land. The Green Hair Dry Corpse had used him as a scapegoat and killed him in the sealed land on Earth. At that time, the 9-floored tower was opened, and Eastern Emperor Tai Yi was released. He began to unify the 8 heavens and called them the Monster Territory. When Bloodscale was still alive, he had told Zhuan about his origin. Zhuan knew that Bingju had ambushed Bloodscale in the Devouring clan and exiled Bloodscale. He was now the new chief of the Devouring clan. Bloodscale's long-cherished wish was to return to the Devouring clan in the ancient desolate heaven and kill Bingju with his own hands. However, Bloodscale had fallen, and Zhuan could fulfill his long-cherished wish for Bloodscale. When Zhuan knew Bingju for the first time, he had wanted to kill him. Bingju laughed, his laughter filled with unwillingness. "Bloodscale? It's that damn Bloodscale again. Why is it him every time? I can't accept this." Chapter 32:17. Self-explosion. When Ice Ju's body emitted a terrifying pressure, Yu Lu and the other members of the Devouring clan changed their faces and retreated far away. "Sir, be careful. Ice Ju is going to explode. Retreat." Yu Lu shouted hastily. "Without my permission he can't explode even if he wants to." Zhuan's voice was calm. His right hand rose, and the purple river flew out of the void behind him. The moment the purple river wrapped around Bingju, Bingju let out a shrill cry and self-detonated. Terrifying explosive energy spread out in all directions, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. However, they were all isolated by the purple river. The purple river was the destiny space-time kill. Since Zhuan had fused with the candle dragon goo, his understanding of time and space had reached a new level. Zhuan had improved the destiny space-time kill, the supernatural power he had created. It was many times stronger than before. Zhuan grabbed the air with his right hand. The purple river shrank and eventually turned into a purple water flow, entering the void. Ice Ju, who had exploded, disappeared. Sizzle! 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 Yu Lu and the members of the Devouring Clan took in breaths of cold air. The Devouring Clan had a world in their bodies. When they exploded, they would detonate the world in their bodies. The energy generated when a world exploded was tremendous. Although the world in the Devouring Clan's body was just a fake world, the energy generated when the fake world exploded was really intimidating. Ice Ju was a god of creation realm expert of the Devouring Clan. The power generated by his explosion was enough to kill several experts at Keiqi's level. But now, Bing Ju's self-destruction was forcibly suppressed and annihilated before Yu Lu and the others. What kind of power was needed to achieve this? When Yu Lu and the members of the Devouring Clan pulled themselves together, they looked at Zhuowen with respect. They understood that the young man in front of them was so intimidating that it was beyond their imagination. He had reached a level that they couldn't predict. Yu Lu gingerly approached Zhuowen. He hesitated for a while and then asked, "Sir, thank you for saving our Devouring Clan. May I know your name?" Zhuowen turned around. His domineering aura completely dissipated and was replaced by a gentle aura. Zhuowen smiled at Yu Lu and said, "I'm Zhuowen, also from the Devouring Clan. I was stranded in the star battlefield. I've finally returned to the great desolate heaven territory." Zhuowen had a good impression of Yu Lu. He had heard the conversation between Yu Lu and Bing Ju clearly. He knew that Yu Lu was a straightforward man who cared about the Devouring Clan. "Sir Zhuowen, are you really from the Devouring Clan? It's our Devouring Clan's fortune to have an expert like you." Yu Lu's eyes were filled with excitement. In fact, when Zhuowen had appeared, he had sensed the Devourer King's aura within Zhuowen's body. However, Zhuowen was so intimidating that he could only look up to him. Thus, he didn't have the face to ask Zhuowen this question. "Sir Zhuowen, you said that you and Sir Bloodscale were friends. May I know where Sir Bloodscale is now?" Yu Lu asked with bright eyes. The members of the Devouring Clan around also looked at Zhuowen with anticipation. When Bloodscale was still the chief, he had been working for the Devouring Clan. It was much better than when Bing Ju was still the chief. And now Bing Ju was dead. If Bloodscale was still here, of course, they would support Bloodscale as the new chief. Zhuowen shook his head and said in a low-pitched voice, "Bloodscale died in a vestige." Hearing him, Yu Lu was bewildered. He looked sorrowful, but he quickly pulled himself together. Yu Lu lowered his voice and said, "Sir Zhuowen, the Devouring Clan can't be without a chief. Now that Bing Ju is dead, only you are qualified to be the chief of the Devouring Clan. Yu Lu sincerely requests Sir Zhuowen to be the new chief of the Devouring Clan." Then, Yu Lu knelt on the ground. The other clansmen followed suit. They looked expectant. Zhuowen in front of them was too intimidating. In their eyes, he was at least a great expert at the middle stage of the Creator Realm. If the Devouring Clan had such a great expert, which tribe within billions of miles would dare to touch them? Zhuowen waved his hand and said indifferently, "I won't stay here for a long time. Thus, I won't be the chief of the Devouring Clan. If you want to appoint a new chief, Yu Lu is the best candidate." Yu Lu changed his visage. He hurried to say, "Sir Zhuowen, you know the current situation of the Devouring Clan. We're besieged on all sides. Only you can make the Devouring Clan rise again." Zhuowen stopped Yu Lu. His imposing aura expanded as he said indifferently, "I told you that I won't be the chief. Do you want to force me?" His intimidating aura expanded like a rising tide. Yu Lu and the other clansmen of the Devouring Clan kept silent. They lowered their heads and didn't dare to talk. "Yu Lu, you'll be the chief of the Devouring Clan. But don't worry. As I'm a member of the Devouring Clan, of course, I won't ignore the clan's territory. Before I leave, I will help the Devouring Clan build a Heaven Passage Great Formation and train some Creator Realm experts. I can also promote you to the Creator Realm in a short time." Zhuan looked at Yu Lu, his voice indifferent. However, Yu Lu was shocked. Soon he frowned. He thought that Zhuan was boasting. Only the Heaven Passage Great Formation could be built by the Heaven Passage Great Formation Master. And to promote him to the Creator Realm in a short time, only the Creator Grade Divine Pellets could help him. Whether it was the Heaven Passage Great Formation or the Creator Grade Divine Pellets, the Devouring Clan couldn't have them. Moreover, he didn't believe that Zhuan was a Heaven Passage Great Formation Master. Zhuan didn't care about the disbelief in Yu Lu's eyes. He continued, that year, the Devouring Clan had 3 Ho-E Divine Arrows. Are the 3 Ho-E Divine Arrows still in the clan? Yu Lu changed his visage. He finally knew why this strange clansman had saved the Devouring Clan. It was because of the Ho-E Divine Arrows. Yu Lu sighed inwardly. He knew that he had to say it. Otherwise, the Devouring Clan would be in danger. Moreover, the young man in front of him was a member of the Devouring Clan. Giving the arrows to his clansmen was better than letting the other clans take them. Our Devouring Clan did have 3 Ho-E Divine Arrows. Unfortunately, 2 of them were taken by the experts of the Sacred Marten Clan and the Fire Elephant Clan. The other one has been hidden by Lord Xuelin. Currently, only I know the whereabouts of that Ho-E Divine Arrow. If Master Zhuan needs it, I'll take it out and give it to you immediately, said Yu Lu respectfully. Zhuan nodded and said directly, I do need the Ho-E Divine Arrow. You take it out and give it to me. But don't worry. I won't let you and your clansmen suffer losses. I'll compensate you accordingly. Yu Lu forced a smile. He didn't take Zhuowen's words seriously. As far as he was concerned, Zhuowen's words were merely pleasantries. After he took the Ho-E Divine Arrow, he wouldn't care about their clansmen. However, Yu Lu also knew that he and the entire Devouring Clan couldn't offend this young man. He could only compromise. Yu Lu was wrong this time. Lin was a man of his words. If he said he would compensate them, he would do so. Moreover, he would double the compensation. Master Zhuon, please go to the city center. I'll ask my men to arrange a good room for you. You just need to wait for me in the room. I'll take out the Ho-E Divine Arrow and give it to you, said Yu Lu respectfully. Zhuon nodded. One of the clansmen led him to the city center. Looking at Zhuowen's back as he left, an older hunchbacked clansman came to Yu Lu's side and looked at Zhuowen's back. He sighed and said, Left Enforcer, this person's goal is the same as the Divine Sparrow race and ice extinction. Chapter 32:18. Tai Chi Energy Gathering Pill. The next day, Yu Lu knocked on Zhuowen's door and walked into the room with a wooden box on his back. Yu Lu bowed respectfully to Zhuowen, and then he removed the wooden box from his back and placed it on the table. He said, Lord Zhuowen, Ho-Yi's God arrows are in here. However, the Ho-E Divine Arrow is sealed in this wooden box. The ancestor of the Devouring Clan found a Creation Grade Formation Master to set up a Creation Grade Restriction spell in the wooden box. Master, if you want to take out the Ho-E Divine Arrow, you have to find a Creation Grade Formation Master to undo the restriction spell in the wooden box. Zhuan took the wooden box and said calmly, It's just a Creation Grade Restriction spell. Why do I need to find a Creation Grade Formation Master? As he spoke, Zhuan touched the wooden box with his right hand. As expected, he felt a wave of Formation Dao on the surface of the wooden box. A faint crystal light shield appeared on the surface of the wooden box, emitting strong waves of Formation Dao. Yu Lu saw Zhuan touch the restriction spell on the surface of the wooden box. Although he looked respectful, there was a trace of contempt in his eyes. In Yu Lu's opinion, although Zhuan was powerful, he knew nothing about Formation Dao. Now, Zhuan had touched the restriction spell on the wooden box. In Yu Lu's opinion, it was an amateur's action. However, the following scene caused Yu Lu to be stunned on the spot. The moment Zhuan activated the restriction spell on the surface of the wooden box, he did not withdraw his right hand. Instead, he formed a complicated seal with his right hand. Then, Zhuowen's right hand, which was forming the seal, quickly tapped on the surface of the wooden box. Then, the restriction spell on the surface of the wooden box trembled violently like a broken cliff. The restriction spell collapsed just like that. Zhuowen's right hand landed on the surface of the wooden box smoothly. Before Yu Lu could react to what had happened, Yuan waved his right hand and opened the jade box in his hand. There was a blood arrow lying quietly in the jade box. A terrifying killing intent surged out like a tidal wave, instantly filling the entire room. Yu Lu's expression changed greatly. The instant he felt the killing intent, he knew something was wrong and retreated. However, the moment he retreated with a groan, Yuan, who was sitting in the middle of the room, waved his right hand. A gentle energy wrapped around Yu Lu, protecting him from the killing intent. Yu Lu looked gratefully at Zhuowen, who was sitting at the side. Zhuowen picked up the divine arrow and examined it carefully. After confirming that it was indeed Hou Yi's divine arrow, he stored it in his great world. After Hou Yi's arrow was put away, the killing intent in the surroundings dispersed, and Yu Lu felt much more relaxed. He let out a sigh and said, "Lord Chun, the seal on the surface of Hou Yi's arrow, it's just a destiny-level seal. I can easily break it," Zhuowen said nonchalantly. Yu Lu's heart was in turmoil. He finally realized that Zhuowen wasn't bragging when he said that he was a heaven-piercing divine formation master. It was true. If he was not a heaven-level formation master, how could he break a destiny-level seal so easily? "Lord Zhuo, I was blind before and thought that you were bragging. So it was me who was blind. Are you really a heaven-level formation master?" Yu Lu could not help but kneel on the ground. He knew very well that if the young man in front of him was really a heaven-level formation master, then it would be incredible. As far as Yu Lu knew, there had never been a heaven-level divine formation master in the entire untainted heavenly domain. The most powerful divine formation master was said to be the high priest of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Wuxian, who was only at the peak of the creation level. However, it was said that although High Priest Wu Wuxian was not a heaven-piercing formation Dao master, he had some kind of powerful secret technique that allowed him to set up a heaven-piercing formation Dao at the peak of the creation realm. This was the strongest divine array master that Yu Lu knew of. If the young man in front of him was really a heaven-level formation master, wouldn't he be the strongest formation master in the entire Eldritch heavenly domain? But soon, Yu Lu's heart was filled with ecstasy. He knew very well that a heaven-level formation master was very important to the tribe. With Zhuowen around, the Devouring Clan could set up a heaven-level formation to protect the Devouring Clan. Not to mention the Divine Sparrow Clan, which was only a mid-tier tribe in the Eldritch heavenly domain. Even if the top 10 tribes came to attack the Devouring Clan, they might not be able to break through. Zhuowen was stunned. He did not expect Yu Lu to apologize because he did not believe that he was the heaven-level formation master. He had never cared about this. "Brother Yu Lu, you don't have to apologize. Words have no proof. No one will believe you. This is human nature," Zhuowen said with a smile. Seeing that Zhuowen did not blame him, Yu Lu sighed in relief. He was afraid that Zhuowen would be angry at him and the entire Devouring Clan because of his previous contempt. "Oh right, I promised you this divine pill. Take it, and you should be able to break through to the Creator realm soon." Zhuowen flicked his finger and took out a jade bottle from his great world. There were 3 emerald green divine pills in the jade bottle. A vigorous aura assailed Yu Lu's nose, causing him to tremble and become intoxicated. "Lord Zhuo, could this be the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill?" Yu Lu closed the bottle and looked at Zhuowen excitedly. "It's the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill. This divine pill is designed to help the Creator realm break through to the Creator realm. Its effect is excellent and it's suitable for you. I've given you 3. Take one, and you should be able to break through to the peak Creator realm from the middle stage of the Creator realm in a short time. The other 2 can help you break through to the Creator realm with 100% certainty. It's just a matter of time," Zhuowen said casually. Yu Lu received the jade bottle excitedly. He bowed 90 degrees to Zhuowen, his eyes filled with gratitude. These 2 bottles contain the Genesis divine pills. Each bottle has 24 pills. I'll give them to you for safekeeping. You can distribute them to your clansmen whose realms are close to the Creator realm, Zhuowen said casually. Yu Lu received the 2 jade bottles and bowed to Zhuowen. He admired Zhuowen even more. In his eyes, Zhuowen wasn't only strong, but he didn't have the domineering aura of the other experts. Moreover, he had given the devouring clan a portion of the Genesis divine pills. It wasn't something that many people could do. Oh right, you said that the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe took the other 2 Hoi divine arrows of the devouring clan. Do you know their exact locations? Asked Zhuan. Yu Lu was bewildered. He asked gingerly, Lord Zhua, do you want to go to the Fire Elephant clan and the Sacred Marten clan to ask for the Hoi divine arrows? Of course. The Hoi divine arrows belong to our devouring clan. Only our clansmen can have them. How could they fall into the hands of others, especially the other clans? Zhuan didn't blush and his heart didn't skip a beat. He was just a fake member of the devouring clan. How could he speak so righteously? Yu Lu blushed as he listened to Zhuan. He was stirred up. What Zhuan had said touched him deeply. However, Yu Lu pulled himself together and forced a smile. Lord Zhua, I know you're strong, but the Fire Elephant clan and the Sacred Marten clan aren't small clans in the great desolate heaven territory. They're famous clans. Our devouring clan isn't their match. Chapter 32:19. 10-Directional Cloud Annihilation Array. Don't worry. I will get the Hoi divine arrow for you. Just tell me the location of the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. Zhuowen said indifferently. Yu Lu still wanted to persuade Zhuowen, but when he saw Zhuowen's cold eyes, he forcefully swallowed his words of persuasion and sighed in his heart. This is the location map of the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. The Fire Elephant tribe is the closest to our devouring tribe. Yu Lu took out a sheepskin map, spread it open, and pointed at 2 points in the northeast direction. The map Yu Lu took out was much more detailed than the one the Phoenix people's saintess had given him. However, this map only recorded a part of the primitive heaven realm. The most obvious place on the map was the Sorcerer tribe's location. The Sorcerer tribe was the largest tribe in the primitive heaven realm. Their tribe was located in the center of the primitive heaven realm and occupied the best land in the heaven realm. The Phoenix people's tribe was located in the northeast border of the primitive heaven realm. The devouring tribe was located somewhere between the Sorcerer tribe and the Phoenix people's tribe. The Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe were also located near the Phoenix people's tribe. The route Zhuowen took to find the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe did not conflict with the route to the Phoenix people. Lord Zhua, you really can't touch the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe because they are backed by the Phoenix people, one of the 10 great tribes. If you touch the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe, you are indirectly slapping the Phoenix people in the face. The Phoenix people will not sit by and do nothing. Yu Lu saw that Zhuowen did not care about the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe, so he could only tell him the disadvantages of touching the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. In his opinion, a powerful tribe like the Phoenix people should be able to make the young man before him calm down and fear them. What made Yu Lu speechless was that when the young man before him heard about the Phoenix people, he was like a cat that smelled a fish and became even more excited. According to what you said, the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe are subordinate tribes of the Phoenix people? Zhuowen asked with narrowed eyes. Yu Lu nodded and said, the 10 great races basically all have subsidiary races, and these subsidiary races have the protection of the 10 great races, so they can often become the top races in the prehistoric heaven domain. Actually, the Fire Elephant clan and the Sacred Marten clan were just small clans that year. They weren't even as strong as our devouring clan. However, they were close to the Phoenix people. That year, they immediately attached themselves to the Phoenix people. They relied on the Phoenix people to develop into the strong clans they are now. In that case, all the more reason for me to go. Zhuowen said indifferently. Yu Lu was dumbfounded by Zhuowen's words. What was going on? He had said that the Fire Elephant race and the Sacred Marten race were subsidiary races of the Phoenix people in order to persuade Zhuowen not to act rashly. But now, after listening to his advice, Yun seemed to want a yard after getting an inch. He actually wanted to go to the Fire Elephant race and the Sacred Marten race. Was there something wrong with his head? Brother Yu Lu, I will take this map first. But don't worry. Before I leave the devouring clan, I will set up a heaven-piercing grade great formation and several creation grade great formations in your tribe, Yuan said indifferently. Yu Lu, on the other hand, was somewhat anxious. He originally wanted to persuade Zhuowen, but unfortunately, Zhuowen's order for him to leave sent Yu Lu back. Then, Zhuowen began to set up a defensive formation in the Devouring Clan's tribe. The Devouring Clan's tribe also had a defensive formation. Unfortunately, it was only a Heaven Dao grade great formation, which was too low. It was no different from having no formation at all. Before Zhuowen set up the formation, he had broken the Heaven Dao grade great formation that had been accumulating for a long time. This time, the heaven-piercing grade great formation that Zhuowen had set up wasn't the 12 Divine Fiends formation, but the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation. It was a pure killing formation. The 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation was something that Zhuowen had learned from the True Alchemy Array record. Although it was a killing formation like the 12 Divine Fiends formation, the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation was much weaker than the 12 Divine Fiends formation. However, it was definitely a peerless killing formation. If this formation was fully activated, it could seriously injure an early heaven-piercing master and trap an intermediate heaven-piercing master. Unless an advanced heaven-piercing master personally came, it would be very difficult to break this formation by force. In Zhuowen's opinion, the Devouring Clan was just a small tribe. They didn't have any resources that could attract the attention of a late heaven-piercing master. With the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation, the Devouring Clan's tribe could be said to be impregnable. Zhuowen spent 3 days to set up the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation. Then, he spent another half a day to set up 7 creation grade great defensive formations inside the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation. These 7 creation grade great defensive formations reinforced and restrained each other, forming an indestructible cycle. If the 10 Directional Clouds Annihilation formation was broken, these 7 creation grade great defensive formations could still hold on for a while. This period of time was enough for the tribesmen of the Devouring Clan to evacuate and escape. After setting up the great defensive formations, Zhuowen bid farewell to Yu Lu. However, Yu Lu took the initiative to follow Zhuowen to the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. He had acquaintances in the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. In this trip to the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe, Yu Lu was really afraid that Zhuowen would act rashly. He wanted to ask his acquaintances to help him inquire about the situation of Ho Yi's divine arrow. After that, he would slowly come up with a countermeasure. Zhuowen thought that Yu Lu was right, so he agreed to let Yu Lu go with him to the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe. He also knew that the Fire Elephant tribe and the Sacred Marten tribe had a long history of snatching Ho Yi's divine arrow from the Devouring Clan. After such a long time, these two tribes might not have remained in their tribes. Moreover, since Yu Lu had acquaintances, Zhuowen seized this chance to ask Yu Lu's acquaintances to ask around the Phoenix people to see if they had any news about Mu Chenxue. The gate of the big city opened. A group of Devouring Clan's tribesmen bid farewell to Zhuowen and Yu Lu. Before leaving, Yu Lu patted the shoulder of a rather young clansman. This young man was called Secludeless. He was a rising star of the Devouring Clan. Rumors said that he had cultivated to the peak of creation grade in just a few thousand years. Moreover, Secludeless' innate talent was excellent. Rumors said that he had touched the threshold of the Creator realm. He just needed an opportunity to break through to the Creator realm. Secludeless' eyes fell on Zhuowen most of the time. In his eyes, there was undisguised admiration. Secludeless had heard everything about Zhuowen from Yu Lu. He admired Zhuowen from the bottom of his heart. However, Zhuowen wasn't used to Secludeless' passionate eyes. Looking at Secludeless' eyes reminded him of the crazy fans on Earth. When those fans chased after their idols, the light in their eyes was exactly the same as Secludeless. Secludeless, while Master Zhuar and I aren't here, you will be in charge of the tribe. You must protect the tribe well, reminded Yu Lu. Secludeless nodded and promised Yu Lu loudly. After that, Yu Lu walked to Zhuowen. Zhuowen took out a formation flag and a jade slip, throwing them to Secludeless. Secludeless, this formation flag is the key to control the tribe's great formation. If someone invades the tribe while we're away, use the formation flag and the Great Formation. This jade slip has a detailed introduction of the tribe's Great Formation. Go back and read it. Then Thuan took Yu Lu and the space roulette, disappearing into the distant sky. Chapter 32:20. Secluded while Zhuowen and Yu Lu were leaving the Devouring Clan, the Divine Sparrow Clan's tribe was bustling with activity billions of miles away. Inside the divine city of the Divine Sparrow Clan, the army of the Divine Sparrow Clan was wearing dazzling golden armor. They were gathering in the massive square in front of the city master palace. The Divine Sparrow Clan's army in the square was almost 10,000 strong. They were much stronger than the Divine Sparrow Clan's army led by Kei-Chi. At this moment, a stalwart figure walked out of the city master palace. He didn't look old. He was about 27 or 28 years old. There was a divine sparrow tattoo on his glabella, which twinkled with golden light. This young man was the current chief of the Divine Sparrow Clan, Sparrow Brilliance. Although he looked young, he was an old monster who had lived for 100,000 years. A group of people followed behind Sparrow Brilliance. They were all the experts of the Divine Sparrow Clan, and their auras weren't weak. Especially the woman behind Sparrow Brilliance. Her aura was the strongest in this group, second only to Sparrow Brilliance. This woman was called Tayo, the protector of the Divine Sparrow Clan. She was extremely strong, and she was as famous as Kei-Chi. Moreover, Tayo was stronger than Kei-Chi. Kei-Chi was one of the 3 great experts of the Divine Sparrow Clan. Of the other 2, one was Tayo, and the other was the mysterious and powerful chief of the Divine Sparrow Clan, Sparrow Brilliance. At this moment, Sparrow Brilliance strode to the square, clasping his hands behind his back. He looked around at the orderly army in the square. "Do you know why I called you here?" Sparrow Brilliance's voice was full of energy, reverberating in the square like thunder. In the square, the Divine Sparrow Clan's army answered in unison, "Yes, Chief. We don't dare to disobey." Sparrow Brilliance nodded and continued, "The reason I called you here is simple. We are going to the Devouring Clan and exterminating those scums. Kei-Chi is a famous general of our Divine Sparrow Clan. He went to the Devouring Clan, but we lost contact with him. And we didn't hear anything from his army. I suspect that the Devouring Clan used some despicable means to ambush Kei-Chi's army. Today, I'm taking you to the Devouring Clan to punish them. Do you dare to come with me?" No one dares to disobey the Patriarch's orders. The Divine Sparrow Clan army on the plaza shouted in unison. Sparrow Brilliance was very satisfied with the performance of the Divine Sparrow Clan's army. Then, he turned to Tayo behind him and said, "Tayo, go and reorganize the army. Then we will head to the Devouring Clan tribe." Ziyao's beautiful eyes flickered, and she said hesitantly, "Patriarch, we are very clear about how strong Kei-Chi's army is. The Devouring Clan is just a small tribe. They can't resist the rising army." But after he went to the Devouring Clan's tribe, he seemed to have evaporated. Don't you find it strange? It's just the Devouring Clan. How could it be the opponent of Kei-Chi's great army? Sparrow Light's eyes flickered as he said solemnly, "I know about this even if you don't tell me. You and I both know why Kei-Chi went to the Devouring Clan this time. It's for the Hou-Yi Divine Arrow. If Kei-Chi had an accident in the Devouring Clan, it means that the Devouring Clan has a secret we don't know. You know how glorious the Devouring Clan used to be before it declined." Then, Sparrow Light's eyes sparkled with anticipation and longing. Ziyao looked at Sparrow Light. She began to understand why Sparrow Light had attacked the Devouring Clan's tribe this time. It wasn't because of Kei-Chi, but because he wanted to see if the Devouring Clan had a big secret. If there was a big secret, it would be a good thing for Sparrow Light because that big secret would be his. Ziyao went down and reorganized the army. Under Sparrow Light's order, the massive army left the Divine Sparrow Clan's tribe, heading to the Devouring Clan's tribe. Inside the Devouring Clan's tribe, Secludless sat cross-legged in his room, holding a jade slip in his hand. This jade slip was given to him by Zhuowen, which recorded the operation method of the Great Formation that Zhuowen had set up in the Devouring Clan's tribe. Secludless had studied it for 3 days before he could understand the 10 directions Cloud Destroyer Great Formation. Secludless was dumbstruck. It was such a complicated Great Formation that he couldn't even understand its operation method. And yet, Juan had set up such a complicated Great Formation. He was simply a monster. Thinking about it, Secludless's admiration for Juan became stronger. In his heart, Juan was a perfect and flawless existence. Secludless stood up, walking out of the room to the towering city wall. His right hand held the formation flag that Juan had given him. He took a deep breath and mumbled something. At the same time, his left hand made a series of hand seals. All of a sudden, the surface of the formation flag rippled. This ripple spread out like a rising tide. Then, the formation flag flew out from Secludless's hand, hovering above the giant city. Soon after, Secludless was horrified to sense that the entire city was emanating a terrifying fluctuation that sent chills down his spine. This wave of energy became more and more violent. Eventually, it covered the entire city. Wisps of clouds shrouded the city. In just a blink of an eye, the Devouring Clan's giant city became a city built on clouds. Many members of the Devouring Clan ran out in fright. Seeing the clouds hovering around them, they were dumbstruck. They didn't know what was going on. Secludless's eyes were cautious. He found that the moment the clouds appeared, the entire city was filled with a terrifying murderous aura. This murderous aura directly attacked his soul, making him shudder. Secludless knew that this murderous aura wasn't aimed at anyone in the city. It was aimed at the intruders of the tribe. This 10 Directions Cloud Destroyer Great Formation is really intimidating. Secludless mumbled, his eyes filled with respect. He didn't doubt that if an intruder dared to enter this great formation, he would die without leaving a trace. Secludless retrieved the formation flag hovering above the city, his eyes filled with excitement. He understood clearly that with the 10 Directions Cloud Destroyer Great Formation, the Devouring Clan's tribe would be impregnable. In the great desolate heaven territory, not many forces could break the Devouring Clan's defense. What? Suddenly, Secludless furrowed his brows. He stood on the city wall, looking into the distance. At the moment he retrieved the formation flag, he felt a violent vibration coming from afar. The moment he cast his gaze over, he immediately saw an army rushing over at high speed. This army had a bright flag, and the emblem on the flag was a divine sparrow shining with golden light. The Divine Sparrow Clan's army. They don't want to give up. They're coming again. Secludless's face changed. He could see that the Divine Sparrow Clan's army this time was much bigger than the last time. There were at least 10,000 of them. In the past, such an army was enough to crush the Devouring Clan. But now, Secludless was full of confidence because the Devouring Clan had Juan's 10 Directions Cloud Destroyer Great Formation. If the Divine Sparrow Clan's army dared to act rashly, the Divine Sparrow Clan's army would be the unlucky ones. The Divine Sparrow Clan's army moved fast. In the blink of an eye, they had reached the city gate of the Devouring Clan. Sparrow Brilliance rode a big horse, lining up. He looked at Secludless on the city wall arrogantly and said indifferently, "Ask your patriarch, Bing Ju, to come out." Secludless's aura wasn't strong, and he was so young. Sparrow Brilliance knew that Secludless was just a small character in the Devouring Clan. Secludless's eyes were cold as he said coldly, "Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around?" Chapter 32:21. Phoenix Blood City Sparrow Light's face turned pale. He coldly gazed at Secludless on the city wall. Secludless was a nobody. He was just a junior. Who gave him the courage to scold him in front of so many people? "Little bastard, I'll give you a chance now. Get your ass in front of me, kneel in front of me, and apologize to me. Otherwise, you won't live to see the sun tomorrow," Sparrow Brilliance said with a gloomy expression. Secludless sneered, "If you have guts, get your ass here and catch me." Then, Secludless ignored Sparrow Light, who was flustered and exasperated. He jumped down from the city wall and started to gather his clansmen in the city master's mansion. The members of the Devouring Clan were scared out of their wits. They knew that Juan had set up a powerful formation in their tribe. However, they didn't have any idea about the power of the formation. They knew how terrifying the Divine Sparrow clan was. They were afraid that the formation couldn't stop the Divine Sparrow clan's army. The entire Devouring clan would be exterminated by the Divine Sparrow clan. Secludeless was eager to try. The other clansmen didn't know the power of the 10-directional cloud annihilation formation, but he did. He was sure that if the Divine Sparrow clan's army dared to attack the city, they would be defeated. You're just a small fry. You dare to humiliate me? Today, I will destroy the entire Devouring clan. Seeing Secludeless ignore him, Sparrow Light was so angry that his face turned pale. He pulled the reins with his right hand, commanding the army to attack the Devouring clan city. Tayo, who was originally following behind Sparrow Brilliance, wanted to open her mouth to stop Sparrow Brilliance because Secludeless' actions just now were too arrogant. How could the Devouring clan become so arrogant all of a sudden? She felt that something was wrong. However, Sparrow Light was so angry that he had lost his mind. He had already rushed forward. It was too late for Tayo to stop him. Tayo's beautiful eyes twinkled. She didn't follow the Divine Sparrow clan's army. Instead, she followed them from a distance. Boom! The gate of the Devouring clan city was trampled. The Divine Sparrow clan's army rushed into the city without any obstruction. However, the moment the Divine Sparrow clan's army entered the city, they found something wrong. They didn't see any member of the Devouring clan behind the city gate. At the end of the street behind the city gate, a figure slowly walked out. It was a young warrior of the Devouring clan. His eyes were clear and excited. Sparrow Brilliance was leading the army. When he saw the young man from the Devouring clan, he was enraged. This young man from the Devouring clan was the one who had insulted him on the city wall. Are you scared now? Did he come out to surrender? Unfortunately, you no longer have the chance. Sparrow Brilliance clasped his hands behind his back. His eyes were filled with arrogance, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cruel smile. Now die! Sparrow Brilliance's right hand made a grabbing motion in the air, and the blazing golden light transformed into a golden broadsword. He threw it out abruptly, cutting through the air and heading straight for Secluded Void. Sparrow Brilliance was a late-stage creation realm expert. A casual strike from him could kill an early-stage creation realm expert. As for Secludeless, he wasn't even a creator. In Sparrow Gleam's opinion, Secludeless was dead for sure. Secluded Wuyo took a deep breath and took out an array flag. His hands quickly formed a seal, and the array flag suddenly flew out and floated in the middle of the city. Instantly, clouds and mist gushed out. A cloud dragon formed and swooped down, biting the golden broadsword that was heading for Secluded Void into dust. Sparrow Brilliance's expression changed slightly. He felt that the aura of the entire Devouring clan city had changed. It had become fierce and filled with terrifying killing intent. A killing array? Sparrow Brilliance felt the terrifying killing intent around him and immediately knew that there was a powerful killing array in the Devouring clan city. The Divine Sparrow clan army behind Sparrow Brilliance immediately became restless. Humph! How could a mere Devouring clan have such a powerful killing array? Break it for me! Sparrow Brilliance stomped his feet and flew off his horse. A golden broadsword appeared in his hands, and he rushed toward the cloud dragon in front of Secluded Void. Sparrow Brilliance's words calmed the hearts of the Divine Sparrow clan army. In their hearts, Sparrow Brilliance was the strongest. This killing array could be broken by Sparrow Brilliance alone. When Sparrow Brilliance and the Cloud Dragon collided, Sparrow Brilliance was sent flying like trash by the Cloud Dragon's tail. Then, the Cloud Dragon soared up and swallowed Sparrow Brilliance. Sparrow Brilliance's screams came to an abrupt end after being swallowed by the Cloud Dragon. Silence! The entire Devouring clan city was in complete silence. The Divine Sparrow clan army was dumbfounded. They did not even have time to react to what had happened before Sparrow Brilliance was killed. Secluded Void was also stunned, but then his face was filled with ecstasy. He did not expect the 10-directional cloud annihilation array to be so powerful. A late-stage creation realm expert like Sparrow Brilliance was killed in one move. Boom, boom, boom. After the cloud dragon swallowed Sparrow Brilliance, it roared into the sky. The countless clouds that surrounded the city condensed into cloud dragons one after another. A total of 10 cloud dragons condensed in the sky above the city and swooped down toward the Divine Sparrow Clan army. At that moment, the entire Divine Sparrow Clan army was so frightened that their legs turned to jelly. Their faces were frighteningly pale. Tayo, who was standing at the back of the army, was even paler. She involuntarily knelt on the ground, and her beautiful eyes lost all fighting spirit. It's over. The Divine Sparrow Clan is done for. Tayo muttered to herself. Then, she saw the 10 cloud dragons rushing into the Divine Sparrow Clan army. They got closer and closer to her, and finally, they completely engulfed her. 2 months later, Juan looked at the shadow of a huge city that appeared in the distance, and a trace of relief appeared on his face. This huge city was suspended 100 meters above a wasteland, and golden red flames surrounded the huge city. These flames seemed to have a mind of their own. They constantly surrounded the huge city and then rushed up into the sky. It was as if a divine bird was going to soar into the sky from these flames. Phew! We finally arrived at Phoenix Blood City. Yulu stood beside Juan as the corners of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Along the way, Yulu introduced Phoenix Blood City to Jun. It was said that Phoenix Blood City was a huge city that the Phoenix people had built outside their clan. This city was tens of thousands of times bigger than an ordinary city. The purpose of building this city was to allow the many subordinate forces of the Phoenix people to trade and interact in Phoenix Blood City. The location of Phoenix Blood City was also very unique. It was built in the center of the many subordinate forces of the Phoenix people. It was not far from any of the subordinate forces of the Phoenix people. Apart from the subordinate forces of the Phoenix people, Phoenix Blood City also welcomed other foreign races into the city. However, foreign races that entered Phoenix Blood City had to strictly abide by the rules. Otherwise, they would be easily eliminated by the law enforcers in the city. Before coming, Yulu had already said that it was impossible for Juon to directly enter the cities of the Fire Elephant Clan and the Sacred Marten Clan unless he fought his way in. After all, the cities of the Fire Elephant Clan and the Sacred Marten Clan were where their clansmen gathered. If one was not their guest, why would they allow one to enter their cities? This was the same logic as those powerful sects in the human territory, where outsiders were not allowed to enter. Before confirming the exact location of the Ho-E Divine Arrow, it was indeed inappropriate for Juon to immediately rush over. However, Phoenix Blood City was different. Foreign races could enter this place. Chapter 32-22. Enforcers. After receiving the Heavenly Law Origin Crystal from Yulu, the guards of Phoenix Blood City impatiently allowed Juon and Yulu to enter the city. They didn't even bother to check. Phoenix Blood City has a strong clan like the Phoenix people behind them. They are powerful, so they aren't afraid of people causing trouble in the city. If someone deliberately causes trouble, they usually end up in a miserable state. Yulu led Juon into the city and smiled as he spoke to Juon. After entering Phoenix Blood City, Juon discovered that there was only one huge street in Phoenix Blood City. This street was like a river that ran through the entire Phoenix Blood City. On both sides of the street, there were beautiful and exquisite shops that sold all kinds of things. On the street, there were people coming and going. Of course, they were all strange-looking foreign clans. Lord Juon, my friend invited us to the Green Blood Tea House for a chat. Yulu said as he looked at Juon, seeking his opinion. You lead the way. I'm not familiar with this place. Juon said indifferently. The Green Blood Tea House is one of the more famous tea houses in Phoenix Blood City. It's in the middle of Phoenix Blood City and is quite a distance from here. Why don't I let my friend choose a place that's closer to here? Yulu continued. No need. Let's go there. I can take a stroll around Phoenix Blood City. Juon said. Yulu nodded and led Juon into the depths of the street. It had to be said that Phoenix Blood City was indeed very lively. On the way, Juon saw many clans that he didn't recognize. Moreover, the shops in Phoenix Blood City had everything. Juan saw many rare divine medicines, refining materials, as well as high-grade divine tools. However, the prices of these things were extremely high. Moreover, these divine medicines and materials were too low-grade for Juan, so he wasn't too interested. With Juan's current level, unless it was a rare creation-grade divine medicine or a heaven-reaching grade divine medicine, it really wouldn't attract his interest. Your immortal treasure pavilion is forcing people to buy and sell. Do you even know the rules? This scorching sun immortal conglomerate stone is clearly mine. I just want you to appraise it. If the price you offer is suitable, I will sell it to your immortal treasure pavilion. But I'm not satisfied with the price you gave me. Now, you actually have the audacity to say that the scorching sun immortal congealed stone belongs to your myriad treasure pavilion, slandering me as a thief. Your myriad treasure pavilion is shameless. An outsider was standing in front of a shop. His voice was very loud, and his face and ears were red. It was clear that he was very angry. The voice of this foreign race also attracted the attention of the other foreign races that were shopping around. Juan and Yulu also turned their gazes towards the immortal treasure pavilion. The reason why Juan paid attention to this place was mainly because he heard about the scorching sun immortal congealed stone. He also knew that the scorching sun immortal condensing stone was a kind of creation-grade material. This kind of material was very rare and ordinary to him, so he originally wouldn't care about it. However, Xiaohei sent him a message through divine thought, saying that the scorching sun immortal congealed stone was not ordinary. It would be very helpful for the blood immortal sword and the death sacrifice sword to upgrade. There were a total of 3 figures in the immortal treasure pavilion. One of them was a big-bellied foreign race. At first glance, one could tell that he was the owner of the immortal treasure pavilion. The other 2 were burly and vigorous. They should be the bodyguards of the immortal treasure pavilion. The big-bellied owner saw that the foreign race was holding the brocade box tightly in his hand and was making a lot of noise to attract the attention of the surrounding foreign races. His face was very ugly. He was in the wrong in this matter. Now that this customer didn't know what was good for him and made the matter public, he was naturally embarrassed. What a shameless person. He took away something that belongs to our immortal treasure pavilion and still wants to smear our name. How despicable. The 2 of you, beat him to death and then take back the scorching sun immortal congealed stone from this thief's hand, the owner said angrily. As soon as the owner finished speaking, the 2 burly foreign race people took a step forward. Their fists rained down on the disheveled foreign race person. The foreign race person who was beaten up wasn't very strong. He was only the Lord of Mystery. The 2 bodyguards' cultivations were 1 realm higher than him. They were both eternal overlords. The result was obvious. The foreign race person was no match for them. He was beaten black and blue and spat out blood. The brocade box in his hand was also snatched away by one of the bodyguards. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of orderly footsteps suddenly came from the depths of the street. Then, Juan saw a group of people dressed in fiery red armor rushing in his direction. Strangely, everywhere this group passed, the xenorace experts on the streets would open up a path for them while revealing fearful and reverent expressions in their eyes. Juan narrowed his eyes. He was all too familiar with the aura of this group. They were all Phoenix people. He had interacted with the Phoenix people many times. He had even kidnapped the Phoenix people's holy maiden. He was naturally very familiar with the unique aura of the Phoenix people. There were more than 30 people in this group. Each of them had a strong aura. They were much stronger than the average foreign race person. The leader was a middle-aged man with a flame pattern between his eyebrows. Juan knew that this was the symbol of the Phoenix people. The Phoenix people's holy maiden also had such a flame pattern between her eyebrows. However, the Phoenix people's holy maiden had a much brighter and fiercer pattern. This meant that the bloodline of the Phoenix people's holy maiden was much higher than that of the average Phoenix people. The middle-aged man arrived in front of the immortal treasure pavilion. He glanced at the wounded foreign race person on the ground, then at the shop owner and his 2 bodyguards. He said coldly, "What's going on here? Isn't there a rule in Phoenix Blood City that forbids private fights?" The pot-bellied shop owner hurriedly walked out. He pointed at the foreign race person on the ground and said, "Lord Xiushi, this person came here to buy immortal treasures. He took a fancy to the immortal scorching sun stone. He said that he wanted to take a look first. Naturally, I showed it to him. Who knew that this shameless person would immediately claim that the immortal scorching sun stone was his after seeing it. Then he insisted that we were blackmailing him. I was also forced to let my 2 bodyguards snatch it. However, he didn't cooperate, so we could only use force." As he spoke, the shop owner took out a storage bag and handed it to the middle-aged man. He said, "I also know that we have violated the rules. Take this as my apology to you, Lord." The middle-aged man named Xiushi took the storage bag under the watchful eyes of the crowd. He looked at it carefully and revealed a satisfied expression. "Seeing that you were also forced to do this, I will not pursue the matter," Xiushi said indifferently. "Then I really have to thank you, Lord. You are indeed magnanimous." The shop owner's expression was respectful, but he hated that foreign race person to the core. If this fellow had not made such a big fuss, there would not have been so much trouble. He even lost so many heavenly law origin crystals for nothing. "Lord Enforcer, this unscrupulous merchant has wronged me. The immortal scorching sunstone is clearly mine. I brought it to the immortal treasure pavilion to appraise. If the price was right, I would have sold it. However, the immortal treasure pavilion is shameless. They actually wanted to force a sale. The price was far lower than the value of the immortal scorching sunstone. They even tried to snatch it. I only acted in self-defense." The wretched foreign race person hurriedly defended himself. Zhuan, who was standing in the crowd, secretly shook his head. If this fellow had not spoken, perhaps it would not have been a big deal. Now that he had spoken, he was really done for. Sure enough, Xiushi's face was gloomy. He said coldly, "You are quite bold. First, you deceived the immortal treasure pavilion. Now you want to deceive me. This is a double crime. Men, take this person away and lock him in the dungeon." Chapter 32-23. Scorching sun immortal congealed Stonezhuan couldn't help but frown as he watched the enforcer drag the alien away. He could tell that the alien wasn't lying. There must be something fishy in the words of the immortal treasure pavilion's owner. However, the enforcer didn't even ask any questions before capturing the alien. What made Zhuan feel even more disdain was that the enforcer called Xiushi had blatantly accepted bribes from the immortal treasure pavilion's owner in front of them. If the enforcers were all like this, then the Phoenix Blood City's rule of not fighting would be a joke. Zhuan didn't speak up for the alien. Instead, he silently recorded the entire scene with his crystal ball. After Xiushi ordered the enforcers to drag the alien away, he whispered something to the shop owner. The shop owner revealed a fawning smile before Xiushi left. Once the enforcer left, the surrounding aliens also dispersed. Their gazes were as calm as an ancient well. It was obvious that they were already used to this. Yu Lu could tell from Zhuan's expression just now, so he said softly, "Lord Zhua, in Phoenix Blood City, the enforcers are the Iron Law. They definitely can't be offended. Even if a third step Almighty enters Phoenix Blood City, they wouldn't easily offend the enforcers. After all, the enforcers are people of the Phoenix people. Once you offend them, it'll be terrible." Zhuan nodded, but he sneered in his heart. He wasn't afraid of the Phoenix people. His purpose for coming here was to cause trouble for the Phoenix people. However, he didn't want to act rashly and alert the enemy. He also didn't want to poke his nose into other people's business. Naturally, there was no need for him to stand out. Zhuan walked towards the immortal treasure pavilion. Yu Lu's pupils shrank as he hurriedly chased after Zhuan. He was afraid that Zhuan would seek justice for what had happened just now. "Brother Yu Lu, don't worry. I'm only going to the immortal treasure pavilion to buy the scorching sun immortal congealed stone," Zhuan said with a faint smile. Yu Lu was even more anxious now. From the scene just now, he had also realized what was going on. This immortal treasure pavilion was a black shop. Why did Zhuan still want to buy things here? Wasn't this just inviting trouble? Zhuan did not care about what Yu Lu was thinking as he arrived at the entrance of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. At this moment, the shopkeeper had yet to enter the shop. When he saw Zhuan striding over, he cast a sidelong glance at Zhuan and said indifferently, "Little brother, what do you want to buy?" The shopkeeper's tone was not very good. He recognized that Zhuan was also a bystander just now. He was not sure if the young man in front of him was really buying something. The two bodyguards standing behind the shop owner suddenly stepped forward and stared coldly at Zhuan. Their eyes were filled with hostility. The corners of Zhuan's mouth curled up slightly. He looked at the brocade box in the shop owner's hand and said, "Shop owner, this scorching sun immortal condensing stone is useful to me. How much do you intend to sell it for?" The shop owner was startled. He clearly had not expected that Zhuan had come to buy the scorching sun immortal condensing stone that he had just forced to sell. The shop owner glanced at Zhuan and Yu Lu with apprehension, because he realized that the auras of these two people were even more vigorous than his bodyguards. Their cultivations were definitely above the eternal overlord realm. However, when he remembered that this was Phoenix Blood City, he immediately felt more confident and revealed a standard smile at the same time. "Dear customer, you have a good eye. This scorching sun immortal condensing stone is something that I have spent a lot of effort to obtain. You should know that back then, in order to obtain this scorching sun immortal condensing stone." Just as the shop owner was about to talk nonsense in front of Zhuan, he was immediately stopped by Zhuan. "I don't want to know the origin of this scorching sun immortal condensing stone. I just want to know how many heavenly law origin crystals it costs to buy this scorching sun immortal condensing stone." The shop owner's eyes flickered. After thinking for a while, he stretched out 5 fingers and gestured in front of Zhuan. He smiled and said, "I see that you and I are fated, so I'll give you a discount. 50 million high-grade heavenly law origin crystals." Zhuan narrowed his eyes and coldly looked at the shop owner in front of him. Although the scorching sun immortal condensing stone was a relatively precious creation-grade material, its price could not be so outrageous. 5 million high-grade heavenly law origin crystals was enough to buy this scorching sun immortal condensing stone. However, this shop owner had actually quoted a price of 50 million high-grade heavenly law origin crystals. This was simply a blatant extortion. "Shop owner, isn't this price a little too high?" Zhuan said in an unfriendly tone. The shop owner was very bold and did not feel embarrassed in the slightest. He smiled and said, "Dear customer, this is the price of the scorching sun immortal condensing stone in Phoenix Blood City. Moreover, I dare guarantee that in the entire city, only my shop has scorching sun immortal condensing stone. I can't take out so many heavenly law origin crystals in a short period of time. I'll use divine pills to exchange with you." Zhuan frowned slightly. He did have so many heavenly law origin crystals in his great world, but taking them out was a little painful for him. After all, heavenly law origin crystals were too important to his daily cultivation. He could not bear to take out so many. However, if he used divine pills to exchange, the pressure on him would be much lighter. After all, he was a master alchemist and had many high-grade divine pills on him. "Do you have any creation-grade divine pills? If you don't, it's not enough to exchange for this scorching sun immortal condensing stone." The shop owner said lazily, "This Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill is a creation-grade divine pill. I think it's enough to exchange for this scorching sun immortal condensing stone." Zhuan took out the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill he had refined in the devouring clan tribe and handed it to the shop owner. "It's actually the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill." The shop owner's eyes lit up with ecstasy as he received the divine pill from Zhu. This Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill was a precious divine pill that could help a creator break through to the creator realm. No cultivator below the creator realm could resist this divine pill. However, he quickly restrained his joy and took the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill. He looked at Zhuan expectantly and asked, "Do you have more on you?" "1 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill should be enough to exchange for this scorching sun immortal condensing stone, right?" Zhuan said indifferently. "Customer, if you can take out 10 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills, This scorching sun immortal condensing stone is yours. The shop owner said expectantly. Zhuan glanced at the shop owner indifferently and took out 9 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills. Speaking of which, 10 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills were really nothing to Zhuan. Of course, if not for Xiao Hei's strong request to buy this scorching sun immortal condensing stone, even if Zhuan did not care much about the Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills, he would not have taken out 10 to exchange for this item. After receiving the other 9 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills, the shop owner trembled with excitement. He did not expect this young man to really take out 9 more Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills. Didn't this mean that this young man had even more creator realm divine pills on him? Thinking of this, the shop owner trembled with excitement. Zhuan said indifferently, "Shop owner, give me the scorching sun immortal condensing stone." Hee, customer, 10 Tai Chi energy gathering divine pills might not be enough. If you take out another 10, I'll give you this scorching sun immortal condensing stone without another word. The shopkeeper's throat trembled as he spoke with a greedy gaze. Are you courting death? Chapter 32-24. Dismantle. The shop owner was fearless, and he hurriedly retreated into the shop. He made a hand seal with his right hand, and a ripple of array formation appeared at the entrance of the shop. Zhuan was a little surprised. The array formation that appeared at the entrance of the shop was actually a God of Creation stage defensive array formation. This Immortal Treasure Pavilion's shop wasn't very big, but it actually had such a powerful defensive array formation. This made Zhuan feel a little surprised. Lord Zhua, all the shops in Phoenix Blood City have their own independent array formations. These array formations were set up by the God Formation Masters of the Phoenix people at a high price. The higher the level of the array formation, the higher the price. This Immortal Treasure Pavilion must have spent a lot of Heavenly Tao origin crystals to hire a God of Creation stage formation master to set up such an array formation in their shop. Yu Lu explained softly beside Zhuan. There was hesitation in his eyes as he said, "Lord Zhua, once the array formation is activated, the enforcers will definitely be alerted. I think we should leave quickly. The enforcers should be here soon." Zhuan nodded. His gaze passed through the array formation at the entrance of the shop and landed on the shop owner. "I don't want to waste any more time with you. Give me the scorching sun immortal congealed stone, and I won't touch you or your shop." The shop owner laughed loudly, and there was a mocking look in his eyes. "Dear customer, where do you get your confidence from? You actually want to destroy my shop." After saying that, the shop owner sat down in the shop and poured himself a cup of wine. In his eyes, although Zhuan and Yu Lu's auras were powerful, they were only God of Creation stage cultivators. The array formation at the entrance of his shop was a God of Creation stage defensive array formation, and it was enough to stop the two of them for a while. Soon the enforcers would be here. When that time came, he would use the same trick again. The two of them would suffer the same fate as the last outsider, and he would have obtained 10 Tai Chi Spirit Gathering Divine Pills for free. At this moment, many outsiders had gathered around the shop again. When they saw the defensive array formation at the entrance of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion, they all shook their heads. They knew that the two people at the entrance of the shop were unlucky. Zhuan sneered, and he took a step forward and threw a punch at the entrance of the shop. "You actually dared to take on the formation head-on. You're simply brainless." The shopkeeper took a sip of tea and saw Zhuan punch towards the array. He couldn't help but laugh loudly. Rumble. Zhuan's fist smashed the big array. His right hand turned into a claw and swept out like lightning, blasting the two bodyguards in front of him into a bloody mist. Then he grabbed the pot-bellied shopkeeper. The shopkeeper had just taken a sip of tea, but before he could swallow it, Zhuan grabbed his neck with his right hand. What's going on? The shopkeeper was astonished. When had the God of Creation stage defensive formation in front of his shop become so fragile? Spare my life. The shopkeeper's body trembled as he sensed the terrifying killing intent in Zhuan's eyes. He almost knelt down and begged for mercy. Unfortunately, Zhuan didn't give him another chance. He exerted force with his right hand and snapped the shopkeeper's neck. A powerful force invaded the shopkeeper's mind and crushed his soul. The moment he killed the shopkeeper, Yun took away the shopkeeper's spiritual ring. Zhuan swung his right hand and threw the shopkeeper onto the signboard of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. The shopkeeper's huge body smashed the signboard into pieces. Then, the signboard fell to the ground heavily. "Yu Lu, let's go." Zhuan grabbed Yu Lu. The space-time energy swirled around them and they disappeared on the spot. After Zhua Wen's Pangu sacred body had fused with the Candle Dragon Gu, his use of the power of time and space had almost reached another wonderful level. When he disappeared and left, no one around saw it clearly. Not long after Zhuan disappeared, Xiushi arrived with a team of law enforcers. When Xiushi saw that the signboard of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion had been smashed and that the shopkeeper and 2 bodyguards were dead in the shop, he was furious. Who did this? Xiushi glanced at the surrounding alien tribes with an unfriendly gaze. The surrounding alien tribes' eyes flickered. They were all frightened by Xiushi's fierce gaze. They quickly waved their hands, indicating that they had nothing to do with the destruction of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Master Xiushi, it was done by 2 members of the Devouring Clan. An alien tribe member walked out with fear. He took out a crystal ball and handed it to Xiushi. Xiushi took the crystal ball and looked at the recording. The recording was the scene where Zhuan had broken the restriction at the entrance of the shop with 1 punch and killed the shopkeeper instantly. Xiushi put away the crystal ball and said to the alien tribe member, "You're good. Since you've done well, if you want to join the law enforcers, just tell them my name. I'm sure you can join the law enforcers." "Thank you, Master Xiushi." The alien tribe member was overjoyed. Under many envious gazes, he bowed to Xiushi. The law enforcers of the Phoenix Blood City were the most popular profession. All the alien tribes in the Phoenix Blood City wanted to join the law enforcers. Unfortunately, the law enforcers of the Phoenix Blood City were very strict. Unless you had some connections, it was almost impossible to join the law enforcers through the proper channels. That alien tribe member had just given Xiushi the recording in the crystal ball, and he easily got the qualification to join the law enforcers. How could the other alien tribes not be jealous of him? Xiushi talked to the alien tribe member for a while and then took his team away. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion was a shop in the Phoenix Blood City, and someone had destroyed it. This was really bad. Xiushi had to mobilize the rest of the law enforcers to search for the 2 bold members of the Devouring Clan. The Purple River slowly disappeared. Zhuan and Yu Lu had arrived at the middle section of the Phoenix Blood City street. The middle and back sections of the street were even more crowded. All of them were experts of the outsider races. Zhuan and Yu Lu had changed their appearances and the aura of the Devouring Clan on their bodies. Then, they walked to the Green Blood Tea House, which wasn't far from here. As Zhuan had just destroyed the Immortal Treasure Pavilion, the law enforcers must have noticed him. If they swaggered on the street like that, it was no different than courting death. The Green Blood Tea House was a high-class place in the Phoenix Blood City. It was a 10-zhang-tall building. Among the many shops, it stood out like a crane in a flock of chickens. Entering the Green Blood Tea House, a beautiful alien tribe woman wearing a cheongsam leisurely walked over. Her beautiful face was filled with a professional smile. This beautiful alien tribe woman didn't look different from a human. The only difference was that she had a white, furry foxtail. 9-tailed fox tribe? Bowen was surprised. This beautiful alien tribe woman had the same aura as Mei Ying, whom he had met in the Slaughter Heavenly Domain. However, her aura was much weaker. This woman was just a newbie who had just reached the Dao realm. Hearing Zhuan mention the 9-tailed fox tribe, the beautiful alien tribe woman's face stiffened. She hurried to say, "Sir, you're joking. I'm Humei. I'm not from the noble 9-tailed fox tribe. I'm just from the white fox tribe." Master Zhua, the white fox tribe and the 9-tailed fox tribe are similar. However, their positions are as different as heaven and earth. The members of the white fox tribe have only 1 tail, while the 9-tailed fox tribe has at least 2 tails. It's impossible for them to have only 1 tail. Yu Lu lowered his voice to Zhuan. "I'm sorry. I was rash." Zhuan apologized. Chapter 3225. Seiko, 2 guests. Our green blood tea house has 10 floors, with the lowest floor being the worst and the 10th floor being the best. Naturally, the price increases with each floor. May I know which floor's private room you would like to go to? Humei said as she handed Zhuowen and Yu Lu a palm-sized jade token each. This jade token recorded a lot of information about the green blood tea house, as well as the various teas, pastries, and other delicacies in the green blood tea house, as well as the corresponding prices. With a sweep of divine sense, this information could be clearly seen. We have a friend who has booked a private room here, the 3rd floor's heaven room. Yu Lu said as he returned the jade token to Humei. By the time Zhuowen and Yu Lu arrived at the Bishue tea house, Yu Lu's acquaintance had already sent Yu Lu the private room he had booked. Therefore, the two of them did not need to book an additional private room, they only needed to report the room number. 2 guests, please follow me. Humei smiled as she put away Zhuowen and Yu Lu's jade tokens and led them to the 3rd floor. 2 guests, this is the 3rd floor's heaven room. You may enter. Humei will withdraw first. After Humei finished speaking, she automatically withdrew while Zhuowen and Yu Lu opened the door and entered. The private room was very spacious, and near the window, there was a carved jade table. At this moment, a middle-aged man in a black trench coat was sitting on top of the jade table. Originally, the middle-aged man was paying attention to the scenery outside the window, but when he heard the door open, he slowly turned his head. The moment Zhuowen saw the middle-aged man's face, he couldn't help shuddering, because this person's face was covered in terrifying scars. Zhuowen could see that these scars used to be hard scales, but now, they were completely destroyed, leaving behind only a series of scars. There were almost no intact scars on his face. Before coming here, Yu Lu had mentioned this person to Zhuowen. It was said that Yu Lu himself didn't know what race this person was from, he only knew that this person was called Seiko. When Yu Lu first came to Phoenix Blood City, he had sought out this person to cooperate with him, inquiring about some enemy races, and the information this person provided was completely accurate and reliable. This was also the reason why Yu Lu insisted on looking for this person. Furthermore, the moment he entered the private room, Zhuowen discovered that there was a strange energy lingering around Saiku. This strange energy was like a layer of gauze, completely concealing Seiko's aura. Zhuowen actually couldn't see through Saiku's cultivation. Have a seat. Tell me why you're looking for me. Saiku merely glanced at Zhuowen and Yu Lu. After saying this, he turned his head and looked out the window. It was as if he had no intention of paying attention to Zhuowen and Yu Lu if they did not speak. Zhuowen and Yu Lu looked at each other. Yu Lu smiled awkwardly and said, "Brother Saiku, I'm just a referral this time. The one who's really looking for you is this Lord Zhua. He has something to ask you." Saiku turned his head and sized up Zhuowen. Clearly, he was a little surprised. This Zhuowen's cultivation was clearly weaker than Yu Lu's, but Yu Lu actually respectfully addressed this person as Lord. "If you want to inquire about something, you should know my rules, right?" Saiku said indifferently. Zhuowen nodded, took out 1,000 high-grade heavenly law origin crystals, and handed them to Saiku. Saiku took the 1,000 high-grade heavenly law origin crystals without any trace of politeness and said calmly, "Ask away. If I think the question is too difficult, you'll have to pay more." Zhuowen smiled and said, "What I want to ask is the Ho E divine arrow that the Fire Elephant clan and Sacred Marten clan stole from the Devouring clan still in their clan? If not, where is it?" This question is not simple. It requires at least 100,000 high-grade heavenly law origin crystals. Saiku said expressionlessly. Zhuowen generously handed Saiku a storage bag with 100,000 high-grade heavenly law origin crystals. Saiku counted and then said in a low voice, "Ho E divine arrow is still in the 2 clans. Moreover, I know that the Ho E divine arrow of the Fire Elephant clan is in the hands of the young master of the Fire Elephant clan. The young master of the Fire Elephant clan, Mao Bo, is the monstrous genius of the Fire Elephant clan in the last 10,000 years. His innate talent is really high. I heard that in the Phoenix people's territory, he's second only to the saintess of the Phoenix people. The current patriarch of the Fire Elephant clan, Liang Su, loves Mao Bo a lot. He almost spoils him to the sky. He depends on Mao Bo for everything. Mao Bo wanted the Hou-Yi divine arrow, and Liang Su didn't hesitate to give it to Mao Bo. At this point, Saiku leaned back and looked at Zhuowen with a smirk. Zhuowen took out another storage bag and said indifferently, "Continue." Saiku took the storage bag, checked its contents, and revealed a satisfied look before continuing. Mao Bo happened to be in Phoenix Blood City during this period of time. I heard that Mao Bo's main objective in coming to Phoenix Blood City this time was to woo the Sacred Marten race's genius, Yuanfu. Given Mao Bo's personality, he definitely carried the Hou-Yi divine arrow with him. Zhuowen's eyes lit up when he heard that. If what Saiku said was true, then the Hou-Yi divine arrow of the Fire Elephant clan wouldn't pose much of a problem to him. I advise you to think thrice before you act. Mao Bo is a monstrous genius. His cultivation is already at the peak of the Genesis stage, and he can fight against a mid-stage creation lord. Given your strength, you will just be asking for a beating if you go there. Furthermore, Mao Bo is always secretly protected by exceptional experts from the Fire Elephant clan. Even if you can defeat Mao Bo, you will die on the spot, Saiku said mockingly. You don't have to meddle in my affairs. You just have to tell me what you know. Now, tell me the whereabouts of the Sacred Marten race's Hou-Yi divine arrow. Zhuowen said indifferently. Although Saiku had been rebutted, he wasn't angry. Instead, he crossed his legs and didn't say anything. Zhuowen took out another storage bag and tossed it to Saiku. Saiku put away the storage bag and grinned. Friend, you are very smart. The Sacred Marten race's Hou-Yi divine arrow should have been kept in the clan. I don't know the details inside. However, I believe that Yuanfu definitely knows. If you can catch Yuanfu's eye and get her to bring you into the Sacred Marten race, you can seize the opportunity to steal the Hou-Yi divine arrow. Saiku's face was filled with ridicule as he laughed out loud. Unfortunately, halfway through his laugh, he was slapped to the ground, causing a deep red mark to appear on his cheek. Saiku got up and glared coldly at Jun as a terrifying aura erupted. How dare you hit me? Saiku gnashed his teeth as he glared at Jun. Jun sat calmly on the spot and said indifferently, I only asked you to give me information earlier. I didn't ask you to give me any lousy ideas. You're courting death. Saiku flew into a rage. His right hand formed a claw and grabbed at Jun. Unfortunately, Zhuowen easily grabbed Saiku's right hand. The powerful force caused Saiku to grimace in pain, and he was extremely shocked in his heart. Your internal organs have been shattered. Now, you're only relying on your heart to maintain your body. It must be very difficult. Zhuowen said indifferently. Saiku's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly withdrew his hand and looked at Jun in disbelief. How did you know? Jun didn't answer Saiku's question. When he couldn't see through Saiku, he secretly used the torch dragon's eye to see through Saiku. Saiku's cultivation was very high. Jun believed that this guy was at least a Skirich lord. However, his internal organs had been destroyed by a terrifying force, leaving only his heart intact. His body was also suppressed by that force and couldn't recover from his internal injuries. He had less than 10% of his strength left. He could only use the strength of a peak Genesis lord. Chapter 32-26. The Shadow Clan. Friend, do you have a way to save me? Saiku asked respectfully. He was no fool. He knew that this young man had seen through his problem with a single glance, so he definitely had a solution. Back then, he had been hunted down by a powerful enemy. He had narrowly escaped death, but he had managed to escape with his life in the end. However, that enemy's power contained a powerful curse energy. This curse energy had corroded his organs. Once his internal organs were completely corroded, the power of the curse would seep into his soul and eventually annihilate it. At that time, he would undoubtedly die. Over the years, his organs had constantly been corroded, and his strength had constantly declined. He had tried countless methods, but none of them had been able to resolve the problem of the curse energy in his body. However, this young man had seen through his problem with a single glance. How could Saiku not be overjoyed? He seemed to have found hope. He stared at Jun with blazing eyes, his eyes filled with anticipation. If I'm not wrong, the power in your body should be a type of curse power. Zhuowen continued. The shining dragon I could not just see things. It could also analyze what it saw, so Zhuowen could tell with a single glance that the energy was a curse energy. Saiku's face flushed with excitement. He hurriedly returned all the heavenly law origin crystals to Zhuowen and knelt in front of Zhuowen. He said expectantly, "Friend, if you can help me resolve my problem, I'll agree to anything you want." "I can indeed resolve your problem, but the price will be great. I'll suffer a great loss," Zhuowen said indifferently. Saiku's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly took off his spirit ring and handed it to Zhuowen. "Sir, this spirit ring contains all my savings over the years. There are tens of millions of heavenly law origin crystals in there, as well as many refining materials and divine medicines. I'll give them all to you. I only hope that you can resolve my problem." Saiku looked at Zhuowen with an urgent gaze. He had also changed the way he addressed Zhuowen from friend to sir. Zhuowen returned the spirit ring to Saiku and said indifferently, "I do not need your spirit ring. I still have one last question to ask you. If your question can satisfy me, I can help you resolve the hidden danger in your body." "Sir, what's the question you want to ask?" "As long as I know it, I'll definitely give you a satisfactory answer," Saiku asked. "Have you heard of a woman named Mu Chenxue among the Phoenix people?" Zhuowen's eyes flashed with a strange light. He suppressed the excitement in his heart. Saiku was stunned. He looked at Zhuowen in confusion and thought for a while. Finally, he shook his head and said, "My lord, I'm sorry. I know a little about the Phoenix clan. I've heard of all the famous experts there. But I've never heard of the name Mu Chenxue." Zhuowen was disappointed. It seemed that the Phoenix people had secretly imprisoned Mu Chenxue after bringing her back. Even among the Phoenix people, there probably weren't many who knew about Mu Chenxue. It seemed that he could only ask the saintess of the Phoenix people about this. Saiku saw Zhuowen's disappointed expression and felt conflicted. Could it be that he had disappointed this sir? Sir wouldn't refuse to treat his problem, right? "Sir, if you really want to know about this Mu Chenxue, I can sneak into the Phoenix people and ask around for you." Saiku quickly said, "You're from the Phoenix people?" Zhuowen asked in astonishment. Saiku shook his head and said, "I'm not from the Phoenix people. I'm from the Shadow Clan. We Shadow Clan are natural assassins. Our talent is to imitate auras and imitate auras. The reason why I know so much about the Fire Elephant Clan and the Sacred Marten Clan is because I once imitated their auras and sneaked into their tribes. That's why I know so much inside information." Yulu was shocked. He looked at Saiku and said, "Brother Saiku, you're from the Shadow Clan? I thought the Shadow Clan was extinct. I didn't expect them to still exist." Saiku's eyes dimmed. He sighed and said, "Our Shadow Clan's talent is too heaven-defying. There are very few of us. Now, I'm the only one left in the Shadow Clan." Zhuowen thought highly of Saiku. He didn't expect Saiku to be able to imitate auras and sneak into a foreign tribe. His talent was too awesome. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He thought of a good idea. His great world could turn into tiny dust particles. He could enter his great world and let the dust particles from his great world adhere to Saiku's body. Then, Saiku would bring him to the Phoenix people. If he was lucky and found Mu Chenxue, he could save Mu Chenxue and leave the Phoenix people. Saiku was very good at reading people's expressions. He saw the light in Zhuowen's eyes and knew that Zhuowen might be interested in his ability. "If you really have such an ability, I can save you. But I have a request. You must bring me into the Phoenix people. I have something important to do and I need to enter the Phoenix people." Zhuowen said, "Sir, I can't bring you in. The Phoenix people are very sensitive to the auras of foreign tribes. If I didn't have the talent to imitate auras, I wouldn't be able to enter the Phoenix people." Saiku said awkwardly, "Don't worry. I have a space artifact. I can enter it myself and turn into dust to hide on your body. When the time comes, you just have to bring that dust particle in," Zhuowen said. Saiku's eyes narrowed as he looked deeply at Zhuowen. He knew very well that ordinary space artifacts couldn't store living beings. Only an extremely high-level spatial artifact could allow living beings to be stored inside, and this type of spatial artifact usually contained a complete world. Such a high-grade spatial artifact was extremely rare and precious. Even many sovereign transcendence experts might not necessarily have such a high-grade spatial artifact. However, the young man in front of him had one. This made Saiku look at Joan with even more respect and fear. He knew very well that someone who had such a space artifact definitely had a great background and couldn't be offended easily. "Sir, if you have such a space artifact, I can promise to bring you into the Phoenix People. I just don't know why you want to enter the Phoenix People?" Saiku asked submissively. "You don't need to know that. You just need to know that I need you to bring me into the Phoenix People. Right? In order to dispel the power of the curse in your body, I might need to refine some divine pills for you to consume. Moreover, the power of the curse has corroded you too much. So, the treatment period will be longer." Zhuowen said. Saiku hurriedly said, "The treatment period doesn't matter. As long as you can cure the power of the curse in my body, I will be grateful. You can leave now. Next, I will need to refine pills to deal with the problem in your body. I will need to cultivate in seclusion for a few days," Zhuowen said calmly. Saiku bowed respectfully and followed Yu Lu out of the private room. After walking out of the private room, Saiku looked at Yu Lu and said, "Brother Yu Lu, is this sir also an alchemist?" Yu Lu's eyes were filled with reverence as he said in a low voice, "Yes. Sir Zhua is at least a creation-grade alchemist. If he says that he can cure your problem, then there will definitely be no problem. Last time he gave me 3 essence-gathering divine pills. I only took one, and I advanced from the mid-stage to the peak of the creator grade. After I completely stabilize my cultivation level, I plan to take the remaining 2 essence-gathering divine pills and break through to the creator grade in one go." Chapter 32:27. Immortal Bird Purgatory. Zhuowen sat cross-legged in the private room and did not immediately start refining pills. The problem with Saiku's body was the power of the curse. As long as the power of the curse was removed, it would be fine. Jun was a heaven-reaching alchemist after all. The power of the curse was a very difficult problem for others, but it was very simple for him. He only needed to refine a 7 transformation curse pill to completely remove the power of the curse on Saiku's body. Refining the 7 transformation curse pill did not take much time for Zhuowen, so he was not in a hurry to refine the pill. Zhuowen took out a brocade box from the outside world, while Xiao He flew out with the Death Sacrifice Sword and Blood Immortal Sword, looking at the brocade box in Zhuowen's hand expectantly. Zhuowen threw the brocade box to Xiao He and said with some pain, "Xiao He, in exchange for a mere Scorching Sun Immortal Conglomerate Stone, I spent 10 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills." Xiao He took the brocade box and gave Zhuowen the middle finger, saying, "You smashed the Immortal Treasure Pavilion, so those 10 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills are back in your hands, and there's also the shopkeeper's spirit ring. I'm afraid there's a lot in there. Good stuff." Zhuowen shrugged and didn't refute. If the shopkeeper wasn't so greedy and overbearing, Zhuowen really did intend to continue the transaction with the shopkeeper. Unfortunately, the shopkeeper did not know what was good for him, so Zhuowen had to take action. The brocade box opened, and the Scorching Sun Immortal Conglomerate Stone emitted a blazing light and floated in the air. Xiao He controlled the Thunder Fire Sword and suddenly stood on the surface of the Scorching Sun Immortal Conglomerate Stone. A powerful force burst out, and the Scorching Sun Immortal Conglomerate Stone shattered into countless powder that emitted light. These powders quickly recombined in midair, finally forming a spherical golden stone. This round stone emitted a dazzling light. From afar, it looked like a small sun. I really haven't seen it before. This is not a Scorching Sun Immortal Congealed Stone at all, but a higher-grade Profound Sun God Congealed Stone. With this Profound Sun God Congealed Stone, this Dragon Lord can advance again. Xiao He laughed complacently. The device spirits of the Blood Immortal Sword and the Sacrificial Death Sword congratulated Xiao He in a human-like manner. It's actually the Profound Sun God Congealed Stone. Zhuowen was also dumbfounded. This Profound Sun God Congealed Stone was of a higher grade than the Scorching Sun Immortal Congealed Stone. However, it was a true transcending heaven-level refining material. It was an extremely rare refining material. However, the value of the profound sun god congealed stone was far above the scorching sun immortal congealed stone. Not to mention 10 Tai Chi spirit gathering divine pills, even 100 Tai Chi spirit gathering divine pills would not be able to exchange for the profound sun god congealed stone. This time, he had really picked up a huge treasure. Kid, thank you so much this time. I'll accept this profound sun god congealed stone first. After I refine this profound sun god congealed stone, I think I should be able to advance to the middle stage of the transcending heaven level. At that time, if you need anything, just tell me. I'll definitely help you to complete it. After Xiao He said this happily, he took the blood immortal sword and the sacrificial death sword and entered the macro world. Zhuan's eyes were filled with envy. During this period of time, Xiao He had obtained a lot of precious resources. His cultivation progress was so fast that even Zhuan was dumbfounded. He remembered that Xiao He had advanced to the transcending heaven level not long ago. Now that he had obtained the profound sun god congealed stone, he was actually going to advance again. This speed was a bit too fast. Device cultivators are really terrifying. As long as there are enough resources, there is no bottleneck at all. Zhuan muttered to himself. He knew very well that device cultivators were gluttons. To embark on the path of device cultivators, one had to constantly search for resources to advance. Moreover, the resources needed by device cultivators could definitely be described as terrifying. If it weren't for Zhuowen's continuous fortuitous encounters, how could Xiao He obtain so many resources, let alone advance so quickly? After Xiao He entered the macro world, Zhuan also turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the macro world. Zhuan didn't go to Xiao He's cave residence. He knew that Xiao He was going to seclude himself to advance. At this moment, he naturally didn't choose to disturb him. He went straight to the center of the macro world, where the small island in the lake was. On the small island, there was a magnificent mansion. Zhuowen's arrival alarmed Ghost Plume and Yin Wuxia in the mansion. "Greetings, master." Ghost Plume and Yin Wuxia hurriedly saluted Zhuowen, their eyes full of respect. This was because they realized that Zhuowen's aura was much stronger than the last time he had entered the macro world. They knew that Zhuowen had become much stronger again. Zhuowen glanced at Ghost Plume again. He realized that Ghost Plume had unknowingly advanced to the creator stage and was now at the mid-stage of the creator stage. Ghost Plume was indeed the #1 prodigy of the 10 Extremes Yin Corpse sect. His talent was indeed much better than that of ordinary cultivators. "How is the Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people?" Zhuowen asked. "Master, everything is normal. The Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people has been under house arrest in the mansion. Recently, she has been much quieter." Yin Wuxia said respectfully. "All right. Bring me there," Zhuowen said. The main reason he had come to the macro world to meet the Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people was to find out the exact location of Mu Qinshue's imprisonment. Since Saiku could imitate the aura of the Phoenix people and blend into the Phoenix people, he only needed to know the exact location of Mu Qinshue's imprisonment. When the time came, he would just ask Saiku to bring the macro world to Mu Qinshue's location. Then he would immediately take action and rescue Mu Qinshu. In the depths of the mansion, Yin Wuxia opened the door to the innermost room. Zhuowen entered the room and saw the Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people kneeling on a futon. She was wearing a fiery red dress. In front of the futon was a coffee table. At this moment, the Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people was facing Zhu. She gracefully filled 2 teacups on the coffee table with tea. "You knew I would come to find you?" Zhuowen raised his eyebrows and sat opposite the Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people. The Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people looked coldly at Zhuowen and said, "Since you came to find me, you must have arrived at Phoenix Blood City, right? You want to ask about the location of Mu Qinshue's imprisonment, right? Since you've already guessed my intentions, then tell me honestly. I don't like to use force," Zhuowen said lazily. "What's the harm in telling you?" The Holy Maiden of the Phoenix people sneered and continued, "Mu Qinshu is imprisoned in the Phoenix Purgatory." You probably don't know what kind of place the Phoenix Purgatory is, right? The Phoenix's resentment is imprisoned in the Purgatory. All living things that enter the Phoenix Purgatory will be tortured to death. After they die, they will be resurrected by the resentment of the Phoenix. They will continue to be tortured until they die. The cycle will repeat and the pain will be unbearable. When the holy maiden of the Phoenix people said this, her expression was ferocious and her beautiful eyes were filled with madness. Zhuan slapped the holy maiden of the Phoenix people to the ground. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized and filled the entire room. The holy maiden of the Phoenix people spat out a mouthful of blood. She looked up at Zhuan with hatred and said, No one can break into the Phoenix Purgatory. Even if you enter, you won't be able to come out. You only have one choice now, and that is to return me to the Phoenix people and beg for mercy. Maybe my heart will soften and I will release Mu Chenxue and return her to you. Zhuan stood up and looked coldly at the holy maiden of the Phoenix people. He said, If it weren't for the fact that you still have some use, you would be a corpse by now. After he finished speaking, Zhuan turned and left. The holy maiden of the Phoenix people screamed hysterically behind him. Chapter 32-28. Mooring and Yuanfu 3 days later, the door to the heaven-titled private room on the 3rd floor of the Bloodshed Tea House opened. Yu Lu and Saiku, the two people who had been waiting for a long time outside the door, both revealed excited looks. Saiku's gaze was even filled with anticipation and fervor. He knew that Zhuan exiting seclusion definitely successfully refined the divine pill that could resolve the hidden dangers in his body. Zhuan threw a jade bottle to Saiku and said, There are 12 7-transformation curse pills inside. You consume one every 7 days. After 84 days, the curse power in your body will more or less recover. After this bottle of 7 transformation curse pills is consumed, I'll give you another bottle, until the curse power in your body is completely purged. Saiku received the jade bottle and was wild with joy. He poured out a 7-transformation curse pill without hesitation and directly swallowed it. When the medicinal pill entered his stomach, he only felt his entire body warm up. Immediately, he discovered that the curse power that had always been wreaking havoc in his body seemed to be suppressed in some way at this moment. It was actually not like normal, wantonly wreaking havoc in his body. And his pain also eased a lot at this moment. He knew that the instant he consumed the 7-transformation curse pill, the curse power in his body was resolved a little. Many thanks, Lord Zhua. Saiku's eyes were full of excitement, involuntarily kneeling on the ground. He was tormented by the curse power for so many years. God knows how many times he wanted to commit suicide. But now, the 7-transformation curse pill that Zhuan gave him the dawn of hope. That kind of joy was no less than regaining a new life. Zhuan helped Saiku up and said with a faint smile, Brother Saiku, you don't owe me anything. I helped you resolve the hidden dangers in your body in order to help myself too. Saiku calmed down. He stood up, cupped his fists and said solemnly, I, Saiku, will remember this kindness. If Lord Zhua has any instructions in the future, I, Saiku, will definitely help Lord Zhua do it even if I have to go through water and tread on fire. All right, Brother Saiku. Previously you said that the Fire Elephant Clan's young patriarch, Mooring, is in Phoenix Blood City right now? I wonder if you know the exact location of that Mooring right now? Zhuan suddenly asked. Saiku glanced at Zhuan and hesitated. He already knew that Zhuan's main objective for asking about the Fire Elephant Clan and the Sacred Marten Clan was the Ho-E Divine Arrow. Since the Fire Elephant Clan's Ho-E Divine Arrow was on the Mooring, this youth was probably planning to snatch it. Zhuan looked at Saiku calmly and did not rush him. He wanted to see Saiku's attitude. If Saiku was truly grateful, he would naturally tell him where the moorings were. But if Saiku hesitated and didn't say anything, he would completely sentence Mooring to death in his heart. In the future, even if Saiku begged him, he wouldn't take out the 7-transformation curse pill. And just in case, Zhuan gave Saiku the 7-transformation curse pill, which was only a semi-finished product. The real 7-transformation curse pill only needed one to completely solve the hidden dangers in Saiku's body. Zhuan originally didn't trust Saiku. Naturally, it was impossible to give the finished 7 transformation curse pill to Saiku from the beginning. If Zhuan was satisfied with Saiku's performance, Zhuan didn't mind giving the complete 7 transformation curse pill to Saiku and perfectly solve the hidden dangers in his body. Lord Zhua, Mooring is actually in the Green Blood Tea House. It's just that he's rich and imposing and lives on the 10th floor of the Green Blood Tea House. And the Sacred Martin clan's prodigy, Ufu, also lives on the 10th floor of the Green Blood Tea House. Mooring is only staying there because of Ufu, Saiku said solemnly. Oh, he lives in the Green Blood Tea House? Zhuan narrowed his eyes and said to Yulu, Brother Yulu, tell the person in charge of the Green Blood Tea House that we plan to book a private room on the 10th floor. Sir, if you want to book a private room, you don't need to find the person in charge of the tea house. Just find me. I can book the private room you need. A crisp and charming voice sounded. At the end of the corridor outside the private room, Mei, who was wearing an enchanting qipao, walked over leisurely. So it's Miss Mei. Since Miss Mei can book a private room, I'll leave it to you. I need a room on the 10th floor, but I have a request. My room must be close to Ufu, Zhuan said. Mei's beautiful eyes were filled with surprise. She glanced at Zhuan and said with a charming smile, I didn't expect you to be one of Miss Ufu's suitors. You're in luck. In Miss Ufu's room, there just happens to be an injured suitor who has just checked out. If you really want it, I can arrange it for you immediately. Then I'll have to trouble Miss Mei. Zhuan cupped his hands. Mei moved very quickly and returned in about half an incense stick's time. She was holding a jade token with the worded written on it. It should be the room D on the 10th floor of the Green Blood Tea House. Sir, this is the room card for the 10th floor D room of the Green Blood Tea House. But before that, you need to pay a deposit of 3 million Heavenly Law Origin crystals. But sir, you don't have to worry. When you check out, we'll refund you more or make up the difference. We won't tamper with the deposit. Mei said with a smile. Miss Mei, do you really believe that I can take out so much deposit at once? Zhuan looked at Mei in surprise. The latter had already prepared the room card without even asking him about the deposit. If he couldn't take out so much deposit, wouldn't it be very awkward? The first time I met Sir, I knew that Sir was not an ordinary person. 3 million Heavenly Law Origin crystals should be something you can take out. Mei said with a charming smile. The corners of Zhuan's mouth curled up slightly. He nodded at Mei and handed a storage bag to her, saying, There are 3 million Heavenly Law Origin crystals in here. Check it. Mei checked it and smiled. She handed the room card to Zhuan and stuck out her tongue playfully, saying, Sir, I really didn't misjudge you. By the way, may I know your name? Mei suddenly asked. Zhuan was startled, then smiled and said, My name is Zhen. You can call me by my name next time. Thank you. Then I'll take my leave first. Have a pleasant stay. Mei left the corridor with happy footsteps. Let's go. Let's go to the 10th floor to take a look. As Zhuan spoke, he led Yu Lu and Saiku upstairs and soon arrived at the 10th floor. The decor of the 10th floor was much more luxurious than the 3rd floor. The heavenly law energy here also far exceeded the outside world. This was clearly a very suitable place for cultivation. Zhuan found the D room. Just as he was about to open the door of the room next door opened first. Then, a beautiful foreign race woman walked out. This foreign race woman was extremely beautiful. Her appearance was similar to a human's, and she wore a black and white mink coat. She was full of nobility and elegance from head to toe. The most eye-catching thing was the black and white tail that grew out of the woman's back, which added a cute charm to her. The foreign race woman only glanced at Zhuan and the other two before leaving. Lord Zhua, she is the Sacred Martin race's Ufu. Saiku said softly. As soon as Saiku said that, the door of the B room not far away opened, and a burly foreign race youth walked out. Ufu, wait for me. Where are you going? The foreign race youth was very loud, his voice as loud as a drum. Ufu glanced coldly at the foreign race youth. Her footsteps did not stop at all as she replied coldly, Mao Bo, don't follow me. I'm just going out for a walk. It's none of your business. Chapter 3229. Sky-devouring Ratchuowen stood at the door and watched as Uefu and Moore left. He did not follow them. Instead, he secretly used the torch dragon eye and discovered several powerful figures hiding in the shadows on the 10th floor of the Greenblood Tea House. These hidden figures were all experts above the Master of Creation realm, and he could even sense an extremely powerful aura. He knew that the owner of this aura should be a supreme expert above the early Master of Heaven Conduit realm. It seems that the Fire Elephant race values mooring very much. They actually sent so many experts to secretly protect her, Yuan muttered to himself. Yu Lu and Saiku, who were beside Zhuowen, were extremely nervous. When they saw that Zhuowen didn't make a move, they let out a sigh of relief. Phoenix Blood City had a rule that private fights were not allowed. The Greenblood Tea House's rules were even stricter. Once a private fight was discovered, they would immediately be held accountable. Then, the entire Greenblood Tea House's experts would make a move. Those who broke the rules would definitely be in big trouble. Lord Zhua, you must not be impulsive. The Greenblood Tea House has a heaven-piercing master overseeing it. Moreover, the 3 commanders of the Phoenix Blood City's enforcement team are also heaven-piercing masters. If you make a move in the Greenblood Tea House, not only will the Greenblood Tea House's experts make a move, but the enforcement team will also appear to encircle and suppress you. Even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, I'm afraid you won't be a match for them. Saiku's eyes were filled with worry as he hurriedly advised Jun. Then, is there any way for me to fight with others without being punished? Zhuowen asked. There is. In Phoenix Blood City, there's a stage called the Blood Weeping Arena. This stage is a place for cultivators with grudges in Phoenix Blood City to fight to the death. If there's a huge conflict between 2 parties because of some matter, then they can settle it at the Blood Weeping Arena. Once they enter the Blood Weeping Arena, their life and death will be up to the heavens. Saiku continued, however, if you want to fight to the death on the Blood Weeping Arena, both parties must agree. Otherwise, it won't be valid. Zhuowen's eyes flashed. He didn't expect Phoenix Blood City to have such a place. Go. Saiku, bring me to the Weeping Blood platform to take a look. Also, Brother Yulu, help me track mooring. Zhuowen said indifferently. Yu Lu nodded and directly left the Bloodshed Tea House. Ever since Zhuowen had displayed all sorts of powerful abilities, Yu Lu's admiration for Zhuowen had reached a point of no return. He had always obeyed Zhuowen's orders. After Yu Lu left, Saiku led Zhuowen toward the Blood Weeping platform. The Weeping Blood platform wasn't far from the Greenblood Tea House. It was located northeast of the Greenblood Tea House, about 15 minutes away. The Blood Weeping Arena was 6 meters tall. The arena was carved out of blood-colored jade. From afar, it looked like a stone dyed red with blood. At this moment, many foreign races had gathered around the Blood Weeping platform. Their gazes were all focused on the Blood Weeping platform. Zhuowen followed everyone's gazes and landed on the Blood Weeping platform. He saw a tall and sturdy figure standing on the platform. It was a foreign race youth. His skin had a metallic luster, and he was 3 meters tall. Zhuowen wasn't unfamiliar with this foreign race youth. He was the Fire Elephant clan's young patriarch, Mooring, whom he had just met in the Greenblood Tea House. Not far from the Blood Weeping platform, the Sacred Martin clan's proud daughter of Heaven Uefu had her arms crossed in front of her chest. Her beautiful eyes were coldly looking at Mooring on the Blood Weeping platform. Zhuowen saw Yu Lu, who was silently observing the situation from the periphery of the crowd. Zhuowen walked over to greet Yu Lu and asked, Yu Lu, what's going on? Why is Mooring on the Blood Weeping platform? Yu Lu smiled bitterly and said, I just went out to track Mooring when I discovered one of Uefu's suitors blocking the entrance of the Greenblood Tea House. They were arguing with Mooring. Mooring and that suitor were arguing very fiercely. In the end, the 2 of them couldn't take it anymore and proposed to settle their grudge at the Blood Weeping platform. Zhuowen nodded. So that's how it was. He then saw a thin figure slowly walk up from the Blood Weeping platform. This foreign race youth was also very young, but he had shifty eyes and black fur on his face. His sharp nose made him look a little like a rat. That's the heaven-devouring rat clan's genius, Rui Lun. It said that he just came out of seclusion and has already advanced to the early stage Lord of Creation realm. Rilun has always been Uefu's crazy suitor. In the past, he wasn't very strong, so he didn't show it very clearly. Instead, he cultivated in seclusion like crazy. Now that Rilun has broken through to the Lord of Creation realm, his ambitions are higher than the heavens. Naturally, he's unhappy to see the Fire Elephant clan's young patriarch pestering Uefu. It's expected that the two of them will settle their grudge at the blood-weeping platform. Saiku said softly to Jun. The heaven-devouring rat clan is the same as the Fire Elephant clan. They're both vassal tribes of the Phoenix people. Moreover, the difference in strength between the two clans isn't great. Moreover, they've fought over territory in the past, so their grudge is deep, Yu Lu interrupted. Muring's cultivation is lower than Rui Luan's, right? He actually agreed to this deathmatch? Zhon said with some surprise. That's not necessarily true. In terms of talent, the Fire Elephant clan's talent is even more terrifying than the heaven-devouring rat clan's. Muring might not be Riluan's match, but it won't be that easy for Rui Luan to kill Muring. Saiku said. Luan shook his head, speechless. Whether it was Riluan or Muring, they were both monstrous geniuses of their respective clans. Now, they were actually fighting to the death over a woman. He glanced at Uefu below the blood-weeping platform. Her eyes were cold and emotionless. He knew that Uefu didn't have any feelings for Riluan or Muring. As far as she was concerned, Riluan and Muring fighting over her was just a show. Miss, the Fire Elephant clan and the Heaven-Devouring Rat clan aren't simple. If something happens to both of them, will the two clans have a problem with our Sacred Marten clan? The servant girl by Uefu's side looked at Muring and Riluan, who were facing each other from afar, with a trace of worry in her beautiful eyes. Uefu smiled lightly, and her smile was filled with mockery. She said, "Don't worry, Xiaoli. Even if both of them die on the blood-weeping platform, the Fire Elephant clan and the Heaven-Devouring Rat clan won't look for trouble with our Sacred Marten clan. They might even obediently come and apologize to our Sacred Marten clan." The servant girl was puzzled. Although the Sacred Marten clan was very powerful, it was at most on par with the Fire Elephant clan and the Heaven-Devouring Rat clan. If something happened to Muring and Rilun, why would the two clans take the initiative to apologize to the Sacred Marten clan? Uefu's beautiful eyes revealed a proud expression, and she said softly, "Because my heart already belongs to someone, and you're no stranger to this person. He's the current #1 genius of the Phoenix people, Feng Bumming." It's actually Feng Bumming. The servant girl revealed a shocked expression. Among the younger generation of the entire Eldritch Heaven region, Feng Bumming definitely had a thunderous reputation. In the past, the most famous junior geniuses of the Phoenix people were the Phoenix people's Saintess and Feng Bumming. Both of them were known as the Phoenix people's golden couple. The reason why the Phoenix people's Saintess was so famous was not because of how terrifying her cultivation was, but because she possessed the rare 99 Phoenix body bloodline of the Phoenix people. This bloodline was simply too terrifying. If she could mature, she would definitely become an unparalleled expert. Feng Bumming was different. His bloodline could only be considered above average, but his talent was a rare freak among the Phoenix people. His cultivation speed was terrifyingly fast. In just a short 1,000 years, he had stepped into the third step of Dao validation. Chapter 3230. Feng Bumming was a true god's favored son. Compared to Feng Bumming, Mobo and Riluan were like clouds and mud. There was no comparison at all. Auspicious Luan and Muring were at most famous in their own clans and the area around Phoenix Blood City. They were just ordinary people in the entire primitive heaven domain. The servant girl's beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. She knew very well that if Miss could really hook up with Feng Bumming, the entire Sacred Marten clan would rise because of Mississippi. This servant congratulates Miss. Compared to Lord Feng Bumming, Muring and Auspicious Luan are nothing. Our Sacred Marten clan will also have the support of the Phoenix people. The Fire Elephant clan and Heaven-Devouring Rat clan won't be in our eyes at that time. The servant girl said excitedly. Uefu lifted her chin slightly, and the arrogance in her beautiful eyes became even more intense. She said indifferently, "This is a secret. You can't spread it. Otherwise, you know the consequences." Hearing this, the servant girl's delicate body trembled. She knew very well what consequences Yuefu was talking about. She hurriedly promised that she would definitely not speak of this matter. Speaking of which, auspicious Luen and Mooring are really stupid. Until now, they still foolishly went to the blood-weeping platform for Mississippi. Little did they know that your heart already belongs to someone. The servant girl chuckled. Hee hee, they're just two guys who are wagging their tails and begging for pity. Do they really think I'll like them? Yuefu shook her head and mocked. Miss, I'm curious. Who will win this death match between the two of them? Mooring's cultivation is even lower than auspicious Luen's. I think Mooring will lose. The servant girl suddenly asked curiously. After knowing that Yuefu's mysterious partner was Feng Bumming, the servant girl was completely not worried about the consequences of Mooring and auspicious Luen being injured in the battle. Mooring is not simple. The outcome of this death match is not certain. They've started now. We'll know when we watch. Yuefu said. As soon as Yuefu finished speaking, everyone below the platform realized that Mooring and auspicious Luen had already started fighting. Mooring's entire body emitted violent flames. The terrifying flames swept out and formed a huge flaming elephant behind him. Luen's entire body was covered with spiraling qi. These qi swept out and formed a gigantic heaven-swallowing rat behind him. Mooring, you haven't even broken through to the creator realm, yet you dare to challenge me and challenge me to the blood-weeping arena? I really don't know where your courage comes from. But don't worry, I won't let you die a painful death. I'll kill you in one strike and let you die a quick death. Luen's voice was sharp, like the shriek of some kind of rat. He stomped his right foot, and a terrifying devouring qi burst out, overflowing in all directions. With a terrifying aura, Luen shot toward the Mooring like an arrow. He didn't hold back at all as he unleashed the aura of the creator. After everyone below the stage felt the terrifying aura of Lucky Luen, their gazes all revealed expressions of fear. As expected of Luen from the heaven-devouring rat clan. After becoming a Lord of Creation, his aura is even stronger than an ordinary early-stage Lord of Creation. It looks like Mooring is in danger. There was a lot of discussion below the stage. None of them were very optimistic about the Mooring. Mooring snorted coldly and also took a step forward. Blazing flames swept out, flying toward Luen. He actually planned on clashing head-on with Luen. Mooring, you're courting death. Luen laughed wildly. His right hand suddenly struck out, and the incomparably enormous heaven-devouring rat image behind him fell toward Mooring like a mountain. However, the enormous fire elephant behind Mooring wasn't afraid at all. It fiercely collided with the heaven-devouring rat image, and a terrifying shockwave dispersed with a boom. However, when these shockwaves landed on the edge of the blood-weeping arena, they were blocked by an energy barrier, preventing the shockwaves from spreading out and causing harm to the spectators. Clearly, a powerful barrier had been set up around the blood-weeping arena to filter out the shockwaves of the battle. Bang! Mooring snorted and retreated repeatedly, all the way to the edge of the arena. Luen's figure merely swayed before he stabilized himself again. Everyone could see the difference between the two with a single glance. Mooring was much weaker than Luen. Mooring, how dare you steal my woman with such little strength? You're really courting death. Luen's gaze was like lightning. He stomped his right foot, and a terrifying shockwave exploded under his feet. He flew toward Mooring like a rock spreading its wings. Mooring's expression changed slightly. He clenched his right fist, and a blood-colored divine arrow had appeared in his right hand at some unknown time. Mooring spat a mouthful of blood onto the divine blood-colored arrow. At the same time, the energy within his body frantically poured into the divine blood-colored arrow. Instantly, a terrifying killing intent erupted from the divine blood-colored arrow, exploding like a wave. Luen's expression changed slightly. The killing intent on the divine blood-colored arrow was too terrifying. Even he felt his heart palpitate. Luen died. Mooring's eyes were filled with madness. He suddenly slapped the end of the divine blood-colored arrow. Immediately, The crazy killing intent contained within the divine arrow exploded with a boom. The divine blood-colored arrow was extremely fast. It turned into a streak of bloody light that streaked across the air, carrying with it a terrifying killing intent. Rui Luan crazily shouted. He exploded with all his energy and fiercely blasted the divine blood-colored arrow. At this moment, Rui Luan's heart was filled with bitterness. He originally wanted to dodge the divine blood-colored arrow, but it was too fast. Moreover, he was too close to mooring, so he had no time to dodge. The only thing he could do now was to use all his strength to block the divine blood-colored arrow. Bang! The divine blood-colored arrow was too terrifying. The moment it came into contact with Prelun, the sky-devouring rat phantom behind him was directly torn apart. Then, the divine blood-colored arrow shot toward Rui Luan like lightning. Rui Luan's eyes were filled with terror. He realized that no matter how he struggled, the divine blood-colored arrow pressed forward, crushing all his struggles into powder and fragments. In the end, the divine blood-colored arrow pierced his chest. A terrifying killing intent engulfed his entire body, frantically crushing his internal organs. Puchi! Rui Luan screamed loudly and directly shattered into countless pieces of blood. A dim light flashed out from the countless pieces of blood. Upon closer inspection, this dim light looked like Rui Luan, but it was only the size of a palm. This was Rui Luan's soul. At this moment, Rui Luan's soul was panicking. It turned into a dim light, wanting to leave the blood-weeping arena and escape. Unfortunately, mooring was prepared. The moment Rui Luan's soul appeared, he had already rushed to the edge of the blood-weeping arena and intercepted it. Mooring, I admit defeat. As long as you let me go, I'll agree to anything you want. Rui Luan's face was deathly pale as he hurriedly begged for mercy. Mooring, this is the blood-weeping arena. We're having a death match. If you don't die, how can I be considered to have one? Chapter 32-31. The Admire the Weeping Blood arena was completely silent. No one had expected that Rui Luan, who should have had the absolute upper hand, would be killed on the Weeping Blood arena without a complete corpse. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Before anyone could react, the tide of the battle had been turned. Below the arena, Yuefu's beautiful eyes revealed a look of surprise. She naturally recognized the blood arrow that Mooring had used. Wasn't it Ho Yi's godly arrow? Their sacred Martin clan also had a Ho Yi's godly arrow, but it had always been kept in the clan's forbidden area by the patriarch. Although Yuefu also knew that the Fire Elephant clan also had a Ho Yi's godly arrow, she didn't expect it to be with Mooring. The Fire Elephant clan's patriarch doted on Mooring too much. He was actually willing to give such a precious treasure to Mooring. Jun, who was in the crowd, couldn't help but narrow his eyes, revealing a trace of imperceptible joy. It seemed that Saiku hadn't lied to him. The Fire Elephant clan's Ho Yi's godly arrow was really in Mooring's hands. Jun saw Mooring put away the Ho Yi's godly arrow and excitedly walked towards Yuefu below the arena. After thinking for a moment, he lifted his foot and walked towards Yuefu. Saiku and Yulu looked at Juon with puzzled eyes. However, when they saw Juon walking straight towards Yuefu, they were both shocked. They wanted to stop him, but unfortunately, Juon was too fast and had already arrived in front of Yuefu. Who are you? Yuefu couldn't help but frown when she saw Juon suddenly appear in front of her. In Juon's eyes, she saw crazy adoration and a trace of possessiveness that made her unhappy. She had seen this kind of gaze too many times. Among her many suitors, most of them looked at her with this kind of gaze. Even Mooring was no exception. Although she didn't reject suitors, this young man who suddenly appeared in front of her and had a somewhat presumptuous gaze made Yuefu very uncomfortable. Miss Yuefu, you may not know me, but I've admired you for a long time. Your appearance has always been in my heart. I really like you too much. I obtained this Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill by chance. I can see that you've already reached the pinnacle of the God of Creation stage, so this Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill is just right for you. You must accept it. Juan took out a Tai Chi energy gathering divine pill and placed it in front of Yuefu. He had long seen that Yuefu's cultivation had reached a bottleneck, and there was no way she could refuse this Tai Chi spirit-gathering pill. Zhuowen's words had caused Yuefu's face to darken. But now, her beautiful eyes lit up as she smiled and accepted the Tai Chi spirit-gathering divine pill from Jun. You're really considerate. This Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pill is indeed useful to me. I wonder if you have any more on you? Yuan Erfu smiled. In Janelf's eyes, Zhuowen had already been labeled as a rich and overbearing suitor. In the void heavenly realm, divine pills were even rarer and more precious than in the Xianmi heavenly realm. This was because the void heavenly realm's god formation masters and pill masters were far inferior to the Xianmi heavenly realm in terms of both quantity and quality. As a result, the void heavenly realm's divine pills and formations were far more valuable than the Xianmi heavenly realms. Although the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pill was precious, in the Xianmi heavenly realm, Dao Palace level forces would normally have a stockpile of this level of divine pills. However, in the void heavenly realm, only super forces like the 10 great tribes would have divine pills above the creation level. If other races wanted such divine pills, they would have to go to the 10 great tribes to trade for them. Moreover, it was the kind of divine pills that were priceless. After Yuefu had reached the pinnacle of the God of Creation stage, the leader of the sacred Marten race had gone to the Phoenix people to trade for creation-level divine pills similar to this Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pill to help Yuefu break through her bottleneck. Unfortunately, the price the Phoenix people offered was simply too high. The leader of the sacred Marten race had been weighing the price, so he hadn't come to an agreement yet. Now, however, a random suitor she had met was giving her such a precious divine pill right off the bat. How could she not be pleasantly surprised? To her, this was definitely the best present she had ever received. What Yuefu was hoping for now was that this suitor had more Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills on him. After all, one Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pill might not guarantee her 100% success rate. If he had a few more, then it would be much safer. Zhuowen sneered in his heart, but a flattered smile appeared on his face. I do. I have a total of 3. I haven't consumed any of them yet. However, if Miss Yuefu can give me a hug, then I'll give you the other 2 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills. Yuefu's expression stiffened. She was furious that this suitor didn't know what was good for him. How dare he make such a request? He could have just given her the other 2 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills. However, Yuefu truly desired the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills too much. This was the key to her breakthrough. Thinking of this, Yuefu took the initiative to hug Zhuan. Zhuan didn't hug Yuefu back. He didn't have any feelings for this woman. The reason he made such a request was naturally to anger Mooring, who had already come down from the Weeping Blood platform. At this moment, Mooring had already walked down the platform. He was about to show off in front of Yuefu when he saw Yuefu taking the initiative to hug an unfamiliar youth. He was instantly enraged. Son of a bitch! Take your filthy hands off me! Moose angrily rushed over and threw Zhuowen to the side. At the same time, Yuefu also let go of Zhuowen. Son of a bitch, how dare you touch Yuefu? I'll kill you today! Mooring was so angry that he lost his mind. The killing intent in his eyes exploded without any concealment as he strode toward Zhuowen. However, Genel stopped the Mooring. Mooring, this person is my friend. You'd better not touch him. As she spoke, she helped Zhuowen up from the ground and said softly, Are you all right? Right, where are the 2 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills you mentioned? Can you give them to me now? Zhuowen sneered in his heart. This Yuefu was really practical. She didn't even say a word of concern and directly asked for the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills. Miss Yuefu being able to hug me is a blessing that I've cultivated for 3 lifetimes. From now on, you're Zhuowen's woman. This Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pill is my gift to you as a token of love. Zhuowen took out 2 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills, held Yuefu's hand, and handed the pills to her. Yuefu was stunned, and the surrounding people were in an uproar. Previously, Zhuowen and Yuefu's conversation wasn't loud, and the surrounding foreign races didn't hear what the two were talking about. They only saw Zhuan handing the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills to Yuefu. But now, Zhuan's voice was loud and clear, saying that Yuefu was his woman, and that the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills were a token of love. At first, the crowd didn't believe it, but Yuefu really did accept the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills. This caused a commotion among the foreign races. Yuefu put away the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills and quickly pulled away from Zhuan. Her beautiful eyes stared coldly at Zhuan. "Who said I'm your woman? I'm just taking back the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills that belong to me." Chapter 32-32. Moring has lost his mind. As soon as Yuefu's words came out, the commotion in the surroundings quieted down significantly, and the foreign race spectators all revealed looks of relief. Only then did Moring's expression soften a little. He walked over to Yuefu's side and pointed at Zhuan. "Despicable and shameless fellow, you stole Yuefu's divine pills and even tried to pass them off as your own. You even shamelessly said that Yuefu is your woman. How disgusting! Moring, want to challenge you now. Do you dare to fight me on the Weeping Blood Arena? If you don't, then that means you're a coward who doesn't deserve to pursue Yuefu." Zhuan looked coldly at Moring. He could see a hint of greed in Moring's eyes. He knew very well that it wasn't that Moring didn't understand what had just happened. He also knew that the Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills belonged to him, Zhuan. But now, Moring had denied everything and wanted to challenge him. This guy was probably after his spirit ring. After all, he was already considered a rich and overbearing spendthrift for being able to take out 3 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills at once. Moring wanted to challenge him on the Weeping Blood Arena. When the time came, he could kill him in one fell swoop and obtain his spirit ring. Yuefu also saw Moring's intentions, and her expression changed slightly. Just as she was about to speak up to stop him, Zhuan agreed with a cold smile. Yuefu was flustered and exasperated. She regretted turning hostile immediately after obtaining the 3 Tai Chi energy-gathering divine pills. Since this rich and overbearing spendthrift was her suitor, she could have used her charm to slowly coax the treasures out of him. But she had been too anxious to cut ties with this person just now. Now, Moring had beaten her to it. She knew very well that if this person went on the Weeping Blood Arena, he would undoubtedly die. Moring would definitely take his spirit ring, and she would have no share in it. "Moring, what do you mean by this? He's my friend, and you actually want to challenge him?" Yuefu said angrily. Fu, that person insulted you just now. I'm standing up for you now." As Maoimo spoke, he looked at Zhuan provocatively and said, "If you don't dare, you don't need to go up to the blood-weeping platform. Kneel before me, crawl under my crotch, and bark like a dog. Then I'll let you go." Yuefu sighed in relief. It seemed that the mooring was still giving her face. As long as she crawled under the mooring and barked like a dog, it would be fine. "Hurry up and do as the moorings say. Otherwise, you won't be able to survive on the blood-weeping platform," Yuefu said to Zhuan in a commanding tone. Zhuan didn't pay any attention to Genelf. Instead, he walked up to the Weeping Blood platform and looked down at the petrified mooring below. "Didn't you say you wanted to fight on the Weeping Blood platform? Why are you in a daze? Or were you just joking just now?" Moring came back to his senses and a sinister smile appeared on his face as he quickly stepped onto the blood-weeping platform. Since this foreign youth didn't know what was good for him, it was a good opportunity for him to take care of him and snatch his spirit ring. Since this person could take out 3 Tai Chi spirit-gathering divine pills at once, there had to be other treasures in his spirit ring. He wasn't going to let go of such a good opportunity. Meanwhile, Yuefu's beautiful eyes were filled with anxiety. Why wasn't this guy listening to her? Could it be that he didn't see how Moring had dealt with Rueluin just now? She could see that Zhuowen's aura was only around the god of creation intermediate stage. The difference between him and Rueluin was like heaven and earth. With his cultivation base, he would be nothing more than cannon fodder. This guy would be courting death if he went up. Meanwhile, the foreign beings around the blood-weeping platform were in an uproar. They didn't think that this foreign youth would actually dare to step onto the blood-weeping platform and battle with Moring. What was even more inconceivable to them was that this foreign youth's cultivation base seemed to be around the god of creation intermediate stage. Who was Moring? He was a terrifying being who had just killed an early-stage lord of creation like Rilluin. A mere god of creation intermediate stage was probably not even enough to fill the gaps between Moring's teeth. Hidden amongst the non-human kind, Saiku had a worried look in his eyes. He whispered to Yulu, "Brother Yulu, wouldn't it be inappropriate for Lord Zhuo to go up like this? Moring has a trump card like Ho Yi's divine arrow." However, Yulu wasn't worried at all. "Brother Saiku, don't worry. Lord Zhuo is much more powerful than you think." Saiku was a little skeptical upon seeing Yulu's confidence. He didn't deny that Jun was much more powerful than his cultivation base, but no matter how powerful he was, could he be more powerful than Rueluin? "Ufu, don't worry. What's mine is yours. There's no distinction between us." On the blood-weeping platform, Moring didn't take Zhuoan seriously at all. He didn't even look at Zhuoan. Instead, he turned around and smiled at Ufu. Ufu's beautiful eyes flashed. She understood Moring's meaning. If he really killed Zhuoan, he was willing to share the items in his spirit ring with her. Ufu's brows relaxed as she thought of this. "Moring, you're so annoying. There's no distinction between us." "How mushy." Moring laughed. "Ufu, don't worry. I've always shared good things with you. After I take care of this ant, I'll—" Before Moose could finish his sentence, his right cheek caved in from the impact. A huge fist landed on Moose's cheek. Bam! Moring was caught off guard and was knocked to the ground. Before he could even react, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. A foot quickly enlarged in front of his eyes and stomped on his face. Everything happened too quickly. The alien race spectators below the blood-weeping platform were all dumbfounded. Most of their gazes were on Moring. When they saw that Moring was talking to Ufu, they thought that the battle hadn't started yet. However, this alien race youth didn't play by the rules. He attacked without saying a word. "Are you done talking? If you are, then get up and fight." Yun stomped on Moring's face. His voice was calm, but it was filled with authority. Moring roared in anger. This guy was too despicable. He hadn't even prepared himself, but he had already attacked. However, Moring soon realized that something was wrong. He used all his strength, but he couldn't break free from this person's foot. How was this possible? This was a mere god of creation. How could he have such powerful earth energy? He was actually able to suppress his entire body. Boom! A terrifyingly huge fire elephant abruptly burst out from the Moring body. Powerful air waves swirled in the air, like an endless wave. Zhuoan's eyes flashed. He was forced back a few steps by the shockwaves. Moring scrambled to his feet. His right cheek had caved in, making him look like a ferocious ghost. At this moment, Moring roared in anger. This alien race youth was too despicable. How dare he sneak attack him? "You're good. Today, I want you to die without a burial place. I want you to die a horrible death. This is what you get for angering me." Moring lost his mind. He immediately retrieved Ho Yi's divine arrow from his spirit ring and began to channel his heavenly Tao energy into it. Terrifying killing intent filled the entire blood-weeping platform. Zhuan looked at the Ho Yi's divine arrow in Moring's hand. "Die." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.